Back in the 1940s, road racing was incredibly popular with the excitement and a newfound optimism after World War II. And the public and county roads around the area we are near Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, provided a perfect racing circuit. But it was a little too dangerous in the early 1950s after a couple of quite serious and tragic accidents. The local authorities deemed it too dangerous to be out on the public streets. A set of enterprising entrepreneurs from the area found 620 acres in which they placed the circuit that is now called Road America. The 4.048 miles has 14 corners and has remained relatively untouched since those early days in the 1950s. Action areas at turn 1, the fast right-hander, the downhill braking area at turn 5, and a classic place to go watching motor racing up on the hillside in the bleachers looking down towards Canada Corner. It's a fantastic place to watch and it's a fantastic place to go racing. And it's the venue for the next round of the IMSA WeatherTech the IMSA Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. It's the Road America 120 and it's live here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Jeremy Shaw, Shea Adam and me, John Hindhaugh, on the edges of our seats. In fact, actually, Jeremy and I are standing up because we're so excited. This is one of the high points of the IMSA season, the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for the Road America 120. 2 hours, probably a little over 2 hours, 2 hours and a couple of minutes of action from green flag to checker. A fabulous grid of cars with on pole position the McLaren of Paul Holton. Well over a second quicker than the pole position time from last year. He's got Tyler McQuarrie in the number 39 Audi alongside him for company as they'll come to the green flag the next time around. As far as the champion, completely empty pit lane, which is good news. As far as the championship is concerned, there was big drama earlier in the weekend for the championship leaders Kyle Marcelli and Nate Stacey in the Ford Mustang. Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, can bring us up to date with what happened after that car made a heavy contact with the wall in practice.
It was comprehensively destroyed, but there were enough bits and pieces on it that were salvageable that when a new chassis arrived at the track at 1:30 this morning, courtesy of one of Dean Martin's friends driving it over from Michigan and his parents being at his house to be able to give the keys to the shop to his friend, the crew worked until 4 in the morning to rebuild a car. They had to put bits and pieces of the destroyed car onto the new one, the ones that were okay. So it looks a bit wonky. It's a bit Johnny Cash is what Nate Stacey told me. Not a zombie car, but it lives and it has a little bit of luck riding on it. Nate Stacey's 6 3/4-year-old niece putting 3 golden unicorns onto the championship leading Ford. And if anything can bring them a bit of good luck, that certainly should help.
One piece at a time, Shea, one piece at a time. That might be a little bit before your time as far as the reference to popular musical culture. Second place for the Plum Trinkler Mercedes after a win last time out at Lime Rock Park, just 4 points away and in joint second position with the Clay and Tyler Cook BMW. This is tight at the top with the fourth place team, the Porsche, just another couple of 3 points behind Jeremy. No slip-ups at all can be allowed for the guys at the front of the field and the championship hopes.
That's exactly right. It's going to be a fantastic race this afternoon. And the other two classes, well, they're really hotly contested as well. Just 1 point between the two leaders in TCR and 5 in ST.
So, take a deep breath now. The lights are out on the Corvette pace car as it is. If we see it again, it will become the safety car.
Yeah, I recommend that deep breath now, because for the next 2 hours, there might not be much opportunity to do so.
The last time we had a race, I literally got an hour and a bit in and realised I hadn't taken a proper breath. I had pains in my chest. I thought I was having a heart attack. It was quite extraordinary stuff. Beautiful afternoon here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. There's a big and knowledgeable crowd on hand for what is going to be a proper Saturday afternoon street fight from the street-based cars. 2x2 coming round the final corner now. 6
different manufacturers, top 7 places on the grid. That is close.
Stand by for action as we're about to go green. The pulse rate, I'm sure, on our pole sitter will be rising as he heads up towards the green flag, which is in hand but has not yet been shown. It's right in front of us. Now it goes out and Paul Holton jumps away to a fantastic start. And Tyler McQuarrie rather caught out there. And the Audi's in danger immediately from the Ford Mustang. Just in behind there, Chad McCumbee taking his opportunity to come down the blue and white Ford on the inside and round the outside of the Ford, trying to make the pass as the second of the McLarens, and Jesse Lazare, the black and white number 69 car, is 1, 2, 3 across the track, going under the Briggs and Stratton Bridge downhill. Behind there, looked like one of the Murillo cars, the Tangerine Mercedes, was having a little look down the inside as well and may have made up a position. But that was a really good start by Paul Holton. He'll be delighted with that getaway.
Yeah, we'd been hearing that the Audi was maybe a little bit down on straight line speed compared to the others, but it was a good start there by Tyler McCoy, able to hold on to that second place. A great start there by Paul Holton, but good driving going behind. There's a late lunge down the inside there by Owen Trinkler.
Owen Trinkler on a high after the win last time out for Ted Giovannis Motorsport. 3 across the track as they go into the Corvette Bridge to turn number 5. Did they all get through it? Remarkably they did, but Alan Brynjolfsson was on the outside of that and has been pushed down. Looks like Bryce Ward has gone through there in the all-silver Mercedes. He's having a brilliant run of form as well at the moment after coming back after a nasty accident at Watkins Glen that required a new car to be brought into the Winward Racing team.
Lots of side-by-side racing there on this first lap, but lots of respectful driving as well. I like it.
Very good point, Jeremy Shaw. As the cars are heading halfway around the first lap, and Paul Holton has got away, and now Tyler McQuarrie seems to be in his stride. In third place though, Chad McCumbee uses every piece of the hard standing, the asphalt and a bit of the grass, putting the Continental tyres on the left hand side of the car onto the grass, and he's still got enough drive to get round effectively down the inside of the left-hander after the King, and he's gone into second. A pass on the grass by that Ford Mustang. Man, that was impressive.
Fantastic move by Chad McCumbee. That was just bravery. Through the kink, flat out through the kink, or close to it.
Stupidity? Do we think that? Which one? They're very close together.
That is really, really good driving.
100% entertainment, whichever else of the qualities we were talking about there. In TCR, Tom O'Gorman led away from pole position from Tom Long. All Audis this weekend, 12 and 77. Then Michael Johnson, after that brilliant result a couple of weeks ago, in third position. And it's still not really sorting itself out. Nobody is happy with the position they've got at the moment. And we've still got an hour and 57 minutes to go. You'd think this was the last 2 laps coming off a safety car, not the opening laps after the start.
Really good start there by Nate Stacey in that car number 60, the championship leader, the car that was rebuilt overnight. Made up 4 positions up into 12th place on the opening lap. That's Nate Stacey, car number 60.
Very important for those guys to get a bit of clear air, to get settled down and to pay back the crew that were here to the very, very early hours of the morning doing all that work. Russell Ward looking racy as well, sitting at the moment in 8th position and right with Owen Trinkler. The Mercedes sometimes take a little bit of time to get heated in their Continental tyres. Ward goes up the inside into turn 5. That's a classic manoeuvre. Here he was alongside, but he's given best. I think that was really smart by Russell Ward there. Owen Trinkler made it clear that he wasn't going to give up, but gave enough room on the inside. Good driving again, and as Jeremy Shaw mentioned a moment ago, respectful driving by both. Let's not throw it at the wall this early on. Good driving from both of those.
Absolutely, just giving each other racing room now. That's all you asked for as a driver. You've got somebody alongside. As long as he doesn't push you off the track, that's fine. That was great racing in the early stages of this race. We've already had a lot of big crashes this weekend in all of the series. We want to keep this as clean as we can.
Live from trackside, this is IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. We're looking at the start-finish line. Oh, the big moment! Oops. Right in front of the 77. That's the Compass Racing TCR car. There's at least 3 cars have had a spin coming out of the carousel. And down towards the kink, not even at the kink, all sorts of people involved there. Through goes the Europarts car, and the 38 Porsche is out of it.
Number 88
Suspension.
BMW also involved, making his debut this weekend, Henry Schmidt.
Yeah, it's who did we put in the 38 to start? It was the Cox
Jim
car
Cox,
to start, the
yeah,
Jim Cox, yeah, absolutely. But there was at least 2 or 3 cars involved in that, and well, one of the Europarts cars doing a great job for our sponsors. He's picked up one of the Continental tires. It's the pole sitter. It's the 12 car. Oh my goodness. That's Tom O'Gorman, who'll be getting no air at all into the 2-litre Audi engine. Also involved there was the number 92. Oh, it's the 92 Mercedes. I thought I saw another car involved there, and it's the dark red number 92. Alex Premat, part of that team, well known. And it was his teammate that started it. The pits have been closed as the number 10 car has to come in. Was it the pole sitter or was it the number 10? It's both of them in. They're both in. 10 and 12 both come into the pit lane. He'll have emergency service for the number 12 just to get rid of the advertising hoarding. The number 10's come in as well. Now, they haven't touched the car, so I don't know what that means as far as emergency service. He just stopped, and they took the banner off the front of the car. Now, the banner just fell off. Oh, it was the 28 car, I'm afraid, just wandering across the track. Also involved there, the BMW, the brand new BMW. That's the 88 car, isn't it, new this weekend? And Shea Adam has more news with this Continental Tire pit lane report.
It's in the pit lane, John. The door hinge is actually broken on the passenger side on the number 88 BMW, the one that was driven by Henry Schmidt, the BMW equation of this part of Stephen Cameron Racing. The left-hand side has quite a bit of damage as well, but the right hand pushed in, and with very telltale signs, red, black, and silver marks along, mostly red though. That would be the contact from the BMW. The car comes off the air jacks. The crew is evaluating what to do, whether they're going to just take it back behind the wall. The left-hand side, not as bad as the right, but now they're sending him. They're telling him to go. Does he make the hard right turn back to the garage area? Let's see. The pit light is green at the exit. Yeah, he's going back out. They're okay with the car.
Okay. Thank you, Shea Adam, with the Continental Tire pit lane report. It was a smart move by Tom O'Gorman to miss the incident. He'd already lost the lead, I think, in TCR. His team car, Lee Carpentier, with right front damage. He couldn't avoid the incident ahead of him, and he's had to come in to change the right front tyre. All started off with the Porsche side by side with the 92, and he just turned right for no apparent reason, the Porsche that is.
That's right,
and there's damage to the right front suspension immediately on the Porsche, but did that give up first before that car veered violently to the right hand side? There was no need for him to turn right, and then he got rear-ended by an unsighted Lee Carpentier in the number 10 Eurosports white TCR Audi. Very odd. There's a puncture on the right front wheel, but was that cause or effect? I honestly can't tell, but something very odd indeed happened there, Jeremy, in terms of what happened, and that was the catalyst for everything that followed. It's within a very short time of the start, so this will be a short yellow. There'll be no pass-by, wave arounds, or anything like that. The pits will not open, so those that have been in have been deemed emergency service. I'm not sure what else the 12 car could have done other than stop on the track and dump the banner, which wouldn't have been a smart thing to do. I think they may get a drive-through for that. Shea Adam?
The only thing that the team did was to remove the banner once it had fallen off the car and was laying in front of it. So I don't know if that counts as emergency service because they didn't actually touch the race car itself. Now, had Tom stopped out on the track, he would have had to run over the banner again. So it was very smart to stop in a position where somebody could clear the way for him.
The number 10 car has further damage to the right-hand side, and that hasn't re-fired yet. And I just wonder if that car will even go back out. There's damage to the bonnet, the hood as well. That's kinked up rather badly, and it looks like the front splitter is pushed onto the right front wheel as well. I'm not sure that that car is going to be leaving anytime soon. That might be day done, I'm afraid, for the number 10 car. I still haven't worked this out. Comes out of the carousel, and the 28 Porsche Jeremy, just slewed to the right-hand side. I've got to say, I don't think the 92 Mercedes was doing anything wrong there. Was right alongside and in a separate. Effectively, if you'd been on the street yet, you would have said they were in two separate lanes.
Yeah, that was really strange. And poor old Henry Schmidt there was completely minding his own business. And when the number 38 car was kind of turned sideways in that melee, he just clipped the back end of the number 88 car, turned it into a spin. And crikey, that was a scary moment. But which tyres are on these cars?
That would be Continental tyre.
Yes.
And Tom O'Gorman making that very, very clear. But Shea Adam, that banner wrapped around the front of the car for half a lap may not have done the engine temperatures any favours.
Nope, there is no water in the reserve, which means that if the car kept running, it would have overheated, and they can't add water to it right now. So they're giving the finger across the throat, saying that's it. That's all she wrote for the pole-sitting car.
Oh no, that's both of the Europarts Roa Motor Oil sponsored machines out very early on. The 88 car took a heck of a hit as well from the 92, and that's another brand new car this weekend. That's rear suspension damage, big door damage on the right hand side as well. That's again an innocent party to all of that. And well, you can only sympathise, but I think both of the it's an early finish for the Europarts guys, and they've been great competitors every time that they have come in, but those cars are going to be pushed backwards down the pit lane. There is a way for them to get back to the paddock in a couple of pits time behind them. There's a gap in the wall, and that's where that number 12, the pole sitting car, will go. Short day's work, such as it was for Tom O'Gorman, and Per Kenton Koch doesn't even get into the car. Meanwhile, its team's car is damaged to the right front. The 92 Mercedes is damaged to the right front, the front. Rest of the car's fine, but that car's not going anywhere unless it's on the back of a flatbed, which is where it's going right now. And I suspect that the next time we speak to our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, Shea Adam, she's going to tell us that the 88 BMW is also hors de combat and will not return, because that was a big, big hit that it took in the left-hand side, just in front of the rear wheel, between the door and the rear wheel, and it certainly looked like it damaged the rear suspension. Although, having said that, if I check the timing and scoring, the 88 go back out on track? Surely not.
Yeah, I think it did.
It's not in the pit lane, Shea Adam, is it? Let me have a look for it in the timing
No,
screen.
no, it's
Wow.
not. It went back out on track in full anger. They'll probably bring the car back in once we go back to green, but they didn't want to take any sort of penalty where they would need to serve an additional drive-through, because this pit lane is really long.
Yeah, Schmitty went back out again. You are absolutely right. We won't do the pass around, but we will do the GS class split. That means that all the GS cars come to the front of the field for the restart. Nothing happened at the front of the field, so Paul Holton still leads Chad McCumbee, who made that great pass on Tyler McQuarrie in the Audi. 76 McLaren, 8 Ford, 39 Audi, and then the second McLaren, the 69 of Jesse Lazar. Spencer Pumpelly in the 28 Porsche, his 5th and 6th. James Clear in the 82 BMW. Owen Trinkler held on. Pretty stout defence by winner last time out, Owen Trinkler, in the Ted Giovannis Motorsport number 46 Mercedes. Russell Ward was putting him under pressure in 8th position in the 33 Winward Mercedes-Benz, and rounding off the top 10, Ty Majeski in the number 15 Ford, and the Mercedes of Jeff Mosing, the Tangerine Dream, the number 56 car. In TCR then it will be Tom Long that leads in the number 77 car, and in second position in TCR, Rodrigo Sales in the 74. Third position, the 54 of Michael Johnson ahead of the 75. In ST, Nick Galante from Pole held on to his pole position ahead of Jason Rabe, who's come back through the field in the Porsche and into second place ahead of the Mini Adventure. The next three, all minis. Tight action early on, but at the front of the field, it was very respectful. Spencer Pumpelly did have a look down the inside of a couple of cars and managed to make up a position going into turn number 6 on the first lap around.
Yeah, that's mainly because Owen Trinkler dived down the inside of the car in front of him, ran out wide, and that enabled Spencer to get the run back again as they headed up the hill towards turn 6.
Safety
So,
car lights are out, Jeremy.
Yeah, number 28 car actually gained 2 positions on that first lap, and number 46 car lost 2 positions. The 82 car, James Clay, stayed exactly where he was.
Well, we said take a deep breath, didn't we? Even during full course yellow, there's so much going on in terms of catching up with what's happened that it's very difficult to calm oneself down. But let's try that as we're live trackside for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Once again, exceptional action for the Road America 120, and Paul Holton has to do it all again. This time the field is all behind him, not alongside and behind, but it's Chad McCumbee in a very big, very powerful Ford that has plenty of V8 grunt to get maybe alongside up the hill and on the run to turn 1. Question mark on that. But that's exactly what Chad McCumbee will want to do, because Paul Holton jumped away rather too easily, I would think, for the rest of the field's liking on that initial green flag. I said stand by for action last time. I shall repeat myself. We need to put that in a hotkey. Stand by for action as we get ready to go. Green again. 15 minutes of the 2 hours have elapsed. Hopefully the drivers have taken stock of what happened, and that the guys at the front show the same respect on the restart as they did on the original start, because I was very impressed by that. There was great close racing, but there was racing room given, and by that what Jeremy means is you can go too wide round a corner without ushering someone off into the boonies. You've just got to adjust your speed and your line to the appropriate point.
Yes.
Not always happens, doesn't it?
Interesting. Looking at the cars that come on that, the angle we're looking at here on IMSA TV, coming up the hill towards turn 13, how big that Ford is in terms of front foot area compared to everything else.
It's big and tall, but it's also loud and fast. Holton gets a good run out in the final corner, and he's pulled 1, 2, 3, 4 McLaren's lengths ahead of the Ford. He's done it again. Brilliant restart by Paul Holton, and in fact it might be Tyler McQuarrie who has the better run. The Ford makes a big hole in the air. The Audi almost invisible behind it as they go through the green flag to restart with an hour and 43.5 minutes still to go. No thought of any defence by Chad McCumbee. He was very, very comfortable going on the normal racing line through the first corner and heading downhill towards the braking area and what is effectively turn number 3. Further back, another Ford trying to make ground. It's the 33 who's defending, and that's Russell Ward, and it's Ty Majeski in the grey Ford, almost battleship grey Ford, who was having a look, and he's compromised his exit now on that long back straight, and behind him then Jeff Mosing tries to take advantage. You attack here, you better be decisive, because if you make a mistake you're going to have to defend immediately from the guys behind you.
You are. Good racing there again. Ty Majeski there, he was pretty respectful there of Russell Ward, because Russell, the Ford was making a challenge on the Mercedes, and Russell said, I'm not having any of that, just turned into the corner. Ty Majeski got on the brakes, cost himself a little bit of momentum, but not a position, so they both continue unscathed.
Incident responsibility for car number 38.
He's out of the race in any case.
Now, you might ask yourself, dear viewer and listener, and those here at the track, why would you assess a penalty on a car that's out of the race? That sends a message to that driver that that's been seen and it's not acceptable. It also sends a message to the rest of the pit lane, because they're seeing it on their switched message system from IMSA Race Control and on the timing screens as well. Basically, tell your drivers not to womble about in the middle of the road.
Yeah, and if at the end of the race, he'll be assessed a time penalty if he can't serve it during the race, and that will move him behind any of those other cars who are involved in that incident. If he was ahead of them, if they're all out of the race, he will move behind them.
Right, okay, that's a point in terms of how the finishing order will be presented. It won't make a huge difference in the points. 28 RS1 Porsche in the thick of the action, in the middle of the top 10, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, pretty much all together. At the head of that line is Jesse Lazare in the MIA, Motorsport in Action McLaren, as off Aston Martin, number 9. And that's Craig Lyons. Well, he didn't hit anything. He's been off the track a few times this weekend, still has his left-hand indicator on, but that car without damage this time. Had a torrid season, started with a couple of big accidents in one of the Winward Mercedes at the early part of the year. Went away, regrouped, thought he got his head right, then had another accident when he came back this weekend, and he's off the circuit here. Into the pit lane, the number 88 BMW, supported by BMW San Francisco. The car on the left-hand side looks absolutely immaculate. And Shea, Adam, that'll be the drive-through for emergency service, yes?
That is exactly what it is. And the 99 also comes down the pit lane, and the pit board is waving for that car, though. Although he goes back out, so that must be a drive-through for the 99 Aston Martin as well. For what? I'm not sure.
Is it the 99 or the 9 that came in?
9-9, not the one that spun.
Okay.
The 9 is in as well. The 9 is in if I turn.
I looked up as you said that and saw the 9. That's what threw me out rather, Shea. And is that a drive-through as well?
No, this is calling to its pit box. The left-hand indicator still on. They're going to have a once-over of the car. They're putting it up on the air jacks. I do not see new Continental tires going on it. They're going to have a look, make sure that everything's okay, and top them off with a little bit of fuel.
Hello to McLaren of Philadelphia, tweeted in at IMSA Radio. We're on the edge of our seats. This looks like already it's our race to lose, but McLaren needs a win. Very, very enthusiastic over at McLaren of Philadelphia. Been following us for the whole season and before that. And good to know that you're tuned in sound and vision via IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Battle for the positions in the middle of the top 10 as Owen Trinkler and James Clare still going at it. That's the 82 BMW and the 46 Mercedes-Benz. That is fifth and sixth position.
And those two tied on points, remember, coming into this weekend.
Second in the championship. Paul Holton has not got away this time, and Chad McCumbee now is getting the Ford into its stride after the restart and about to put that car's fastest lap. He was 4 miles an hour slower through the speed trap down towards Canada Corner than the leading Paul Holton McLaren, but he's pulled back to within a second now, and he's pulled out to just over half a second from Tyler McQuarrie, who's hanging on there. Lazare has pulled clear of Spencer Pumpelly. McLaren, Ford, Audi, McLaren, Porsche and BMW, the top 6. The 88 car is going to get has had the penalty. Right, the reason the 88 car was through was too many people over the wall. That might be a second penalty for that car after the emergency service. We'll see if that car comes in again, thanks to race control and timing for firing that through. Still an hour and 38 minutes to go in 81 leads. Nick Galante from Jason Rabe in the Porsche in second in ST. Then the best of the minis, Mike Lamara in the 73 Mini, with the other two cars right in behind. In TCR, Tom Long has a 4-second lead from Michael Johnson. Rodrigo Salas is about another 4 seconds further back, and the only remaining car is the 75, and that's another 4-5 seconds further back from that. But at the head of the field, Paul Holton is pulling away, and there's a great battle going on down towards turn number 8 at the moment as Jeff Mosing is making up positions. He's gone past Nick Stacey and Ty Majeski, and now he's in behind Russell Ward and battling for 8th position. Russell Ward then doing a fabulous job. Hearing from Shea, Adam, that the 88 has served both its penalties. Now the 15 of Ty Majeski got on the grass trying to get through past Russell Ward down into turn 3. Did he get through? Well, yes he did, but I think he's drifted wide there because he's now drifted back behind Russell, and
has he?
I think Jeff Mosing's gone through there. One of the orange cars was definitely through in front the last time I caught a glimpse of it. Chad McCumbee turning up the heat in the lead has another Ford Mustang. Alan Brynjolfsson has a similar car of Martin Barkey. In fact, there's 3 Mustangs together with Jack Rouse Jr., Alan Brynjolfsson and Martin Barkey in the 59, which is the white, red and grey car with the stripy roof. Then the highlighter yellow car, and then the mainly white car of Martin Barkey. That's 59, 7 and 80, and they are 13th, 14th and 15th as they go across the line in front of us. A stampede of Mustangs, it's been suggested in my ears from the pit lane. A second at the front of the field, but battles all the way down the top 20. Certainly the top 18. 45 Mercedes-Benz in a fight out there as well. Check that, the 46 car, my apologies. And that's Owen Trinkler now right up behind James Clear. Typically the Mercedes taking a few laps longer to get their Continental tyres up to temperature and therefore pressure. So it has to be a patient waiting game early on for the Mercedes-Benz runners. Brett Mosey back down the field, has got Mustangs all around him. No, that's Jeff Mosey. That's the 56 car, and he's just had 2 Mustangs go by him. Jack Roush Jr. and Alan Brynjolfsson, who are side by side, and through goes another Mustang on Jeff Mosey. Now, has that number 56 car, which had just made up a couple of positions, has it got problems? It's dropping back. 4 Mustangs ahead of it now. Immediately goes back on the offensive down towards turn number 8 at the bottom of the hill. Is better on the brakes than the Mustangs, which are a bit heavier this weekend. In behind that is the 19 BMW Arie Berloch in the 15th position. That's a great battle.
Really is. Lots of good battles all the way up and down the field, aren't there? In ST, by the way, the Nick Gallant, the pole sitter, he's not been able to pull away from Jason Raben. The minis are right with him as well. Michael Lamara, former series champion, and Colin Mullen, the youngster, tucking in behind Lamara. Battle for 3rd and 4th, and the 5th car, Nate Norenberg, well, he's right there as well. In TCR, Tom Long is now pulled away from Michael Johnson, just a little bit in the lead.
Yeah, 4.5 seconds.
Just seen it, Root. Martin Barkey, I think.
Was Johnson already in second? Was he got past
Yeah,
Salas?
he got past
Salas on the
last
restart.
time around, yeah.
Right, okay. All right, last time around. Yes, okay, got you. Alan Brynjolfsson under pressure again. The Mustang has got plenty of power. The Mercedes is nimble through the corners. Jeff Mosey tries to pull out, can't match the pace up the hill. Top speeds very similar with those 2 cars. Another fastest lap for Chad McCumbee, 2:21.1. A couple of tenths gained on the leader, but Paul Holton's controlling this nicely at the head of the field. Also having a cracking race at the moment and getting onto the back of that battle that is for effectively 12th on down is Bryce Ward. He's dragged up to the back to Arie Berloch now, and that's silver 57 BMW. The yellow and red BMW has the silver Mercedes right in its wheel tracks. Bryce absolutely buzzing after the podium finish a couple of weeks ago. Had a long chat with him earlier on in the weekend. His idea was to just scratch an itch for his driving and then hang up his helmet at the end of the year. I'm not sure that's going to be the plan now as Barkey goes down the inside of Jeff Mosey at turn 6. That's a bold manoeuvre. Has to give Jeff room to come back on, which he does. And they'll be side by side through 7, and Berloch's right in behind them in the brightly coloured rhubarb and custard BMW, and there's almost 3 across the track. And Bryce Ward's thinking, oh hello, I'm in here. This is going to make me a few places, thanks very much. I'll just slip up the inside of the BMW. No, not going to get that done before the carousel. Smart driving, Bryce, come on, keep your head on. He is loving being back behind the driving seat. And that Winwood team doing a great job with those GT4 cars this season. Really got the handle on those machines and looking forward already to a strong end of the season and next year. At the head of the field, Paul Holton just controlling things in the dark grey and red Compass Racing McLaren. The 76 car coming towards the final corner, a little unsettled over the bumps coming into that right-hander. There's a tunnel under the track there. Jeremy and I are old enough to remember when there wasn't a tunnel there, there was a bridge. And that was a fearsome corner coming through that left-hander, and there were some nasty accidents there, and the bridge was removed and a tunnel was built.
Yeah, ask Memo Gidley.
Oh yes, yes. He wasn't the only one, in fairness.
No, he wasn't. No, lots of people are off there.
Tyler McQuarrie puts the best lap in for the Audi at 2:20.990. That's only half a second off the best lap of the race, which was set on lap number 2 by Paul Holton in the McLaren. The top 3 are pulling away from Jesse Lazar in the 69 McLaren in 4th. That's the mainly white car with the black on it. And that gap now 3 and a bit seconds, but the top 3 relatively equally spaced, about 3/4 of a second, maybe a little more second between first and second, then half a second between second and third, if that makes any sense. Looks to me Right, the drivers are settling in now to their planned lap times, that the excitement of the start, potentially making up positions. We're half an hour in, so the first quarter completed. And just a note, Jeremy, Nate Stacey in the rebuilt number 60 inside the top 10, having got past Russell Ward a couple of laps ago.
That's exactly right, having started in the 16th position, so it's been a really fine effort for Nate Stacey. He took him a little while to get up to speed this morning, I guess, in the rebuilt car, but he's made a really good, solid start to this race.
Meanwhile, in ST, BMW versus Porsche, how many times have we said that? It's Bimmer World versus Body Motion, two of the real stalwarts of the street tuner class down through the years, and they're battling it out ahead of the three minis who are behind them. Body Motion BMW, and recovering through the field is the Aston Martin number 99, which was in the pits earlier on and goes past the two ST cars relatively easily, and that'll be a sigh of relief for both of those ST cars, Nick Galante and Jason Rabe, who are battling out in respectively the BMW, the white car with the blue and purple on the side, and the black car with the lime yellow orange on the orange green stripes on the top of it. That's the Body Motion car. Barely even a car's length between the two ST cars. Last season for the STs, the ability to take a car that was built as a street car and turn it into a road car becoming very much more difficult nowadays with the integration of all kinds of safety and electronical systems. The TCR, which is running as the third class this year, will become the second class and effectively replaces the STs. Quite a few of the ST teams have already graduated to GS or are looking at TCR. Big slide coming out the carousel by Nick Galante on pole position in that BMW. The two minis next up in order: 73, Mike Lamara, and 52, that's the yellow mini. It's not quite close enough to do a bit of drafting, but they are picking up their pace. And now that the Aston has gone by and left them to their own devices, those minis will be very quick through the twisty stuff. A lot of variety in the 5 cars that we have. 3 of them are minis, obviously front engine, transverse mounted front wheel drive. We've got a mid-engine Porsche Cayman with rear wheel drive and a front longitudinally mounted engine in the BMW driving the rear wheels, which crosses the line now with the Porsche right in behind. The 2 minis crest the hill behind them. You can only see 1 mini because they are absolutely in lockstep. And in fairness, the 3rd mini in 5th position in ST is not that far behind. Screech of tyres and the inside rear wheels being picked up in classic Mini Cooper style. They've been doing that since they started racing in the late 50s, early 60s. That dangling inside rear wheel has become a trademark.
It has, hasn't it? New mini, old mini, doesn't matter. You're right, and it wasn't the inside rear wheel that was doing the squealing. That's taking a bit of a break at the moment, way off the ground.
Yeah, by about 3 or 4 inches. Racing a Mini Cooper, 1960s Mini Cooper later in the year, and I am really looking forward to it at Brands Hatch in a semi-enduro race. I think it's an hour or an hour and 10 minutes. Meantime, that ST category is hotting up, and that 1 car lengths gap last time around is not even the width of a bumper bar now, as Jason Rabe maybe senses that the rear tyres on the BMW are giving Nick Galante a little bit of grip issue, and pumping out of the medium speed corners might be a bit of an issue.
The 57 car into the pits.
Oh, that's Bryce Ward. Now, that is, I don't think, is going to be a scheduled stop. Shea Adam is our Continental Tire pit lane reporter.
No, they're not expecting him. They have not jumped over the wall to service the car yet. Now, 2 mechanics are coming over, one with a fire bottle, one is pulling up the engine cover. They are looking where the giant beast that is the AMG engine lives in the front of the car, but they were not expecting this car. The pit board didn't even come down. John, I'll investigate and let you know what I find out.
Thank you, Shay. Well, that was a shame because Bryce Ward was having a cracking run and had caught up to the back of that battle. Looks like there's an engine-related issue. Meantime, at the front of ST, the gap goes out again, with Paul Holden leading the motor race now by 3.2 seconds. Tom Long by nearly 8 seconds in TCR. The closest battle, certainly at the front of the classes, is in ST as they come across the top of the hill just to our right, and I look and see them now. They cross the line now. A few moments ago, little mistake down into the first corner by the number 15, and just getting away foot from the Ty Majeski driver, but he managed to hold onto it as Shea Adam has been sleuthing down at Winwood and can tell us the issue with Bryce Ward's car.
Well, they're getting a low battery alarm on the dashboard, so when he brought it in, when Bryce Ward brought the car in, they were trying to see if they had lost an alternator belt, but unfortunately they can't see because of the way that the engine compartment is compact. They're taking Bryce behind the wall, so the 57 Mercedes is not going back out on track.
What a shame. Been a really, really good run. It looks like Christian Hohenagel, who joined that team this weekend, is not going to get to race at a circuit. He may not be able to add North America to the circuits on which he has raced. First timer here. Change of position in the 12th position. Martin Barkey in the white Mustang goes by the Tangerine, number 56 of Jeff Mosing. Classic drag down the front straight and then overtaking into the first corner. Wild ride by Ari Berlog. A couple of laps ago, and that's why he dropped back, and Bryce Ward was the beneficiary of that, but now that car behind the wall with a potential alternator belt problem. Low battery alarm being identified for that car. I do remember at the Quarter 24 when those cars were very, very new, the alternator belt and the on the engine was an issue. The car was very, very new, and effectively on a rollout test at the Quarter 24 in November last year, and there were one or two issues with belts being thrown, but that hasn't happened since then. There was a realignment and a fix, thought to be originally because the Winwood cars were running the air conditioning, which put an extra strain on the belt, but that found not to be the case, and we've not had that issue since then. Now, having said that, of course, Bryce's car is an older car, or another car, should I say. Their third car, effectively, was the Craig Lyons car from earlier on in the season, and I wonder if it had the modification. So maybe we can find that out, because that car, as I say, was pressed into service after Bryce Ward's nasty accident at Watkins Glen. We'll try and get a steer on that from the team. Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter. 40 minutes gone, or thereabouts, of the 2-hour race. Here's how it stands. At the front of the field, the 76 McLaren of Paul Holton leads. Second place, Chad McCumbee can see the leader. He got it down to about a second, but he's had a couple of wayward laps, Chad, with traffic. Maybe a mistake or two as well. But now it's all of a sudden up to 3 seconds. But he's got 2 seconds on Tyler McQuarrie in the 39 Audi in second position. But as he looks out of the window, Paul Holton is a slightly smaller speck than he was a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, you're right, John. He's managed pulling away now at 3 or 4 tenths of a second.
Is that Paul Holton speeding up rather than Chad McCumbee slowing down, or a combination of the two?
Chad McCumbee slowing down just a little bit, but Paul Holton is able to keep a pretty consistent pace. That's the difference. So it's a number 8 car slowing down just a little bit. Meanwhile, number 69 car with in tow behind him the 28, 82, 46 and pretty much 15. They're all inching just a little bit closer to the number 39 car. That's Tyler McQuarrie in third place in the Audi.
There's an interloper in that battle as well, because the Aston Martin number 9 that is out of position is there as well. And James Clay just having to deal with that as Owen Trinkler now is behind the number 9 Aston. Remember, that car had a spin earlier on and has dropped down the field for Craig Lyons. He's sitting in 21st position in GS and off the GS lead lap. Owen Trinkler gets through. Oh no, Lyons has turned into him. Lyons has turned into him. That was really poor driving by Craig Lyons, and he's done himself no good at all. And there's another car got into it. There's another car hit him and hit him hard, and there's fire. This is at the kink. Car understeering off. It was a Mercedes-Benz. There's a big fire on the back straight, on the back of the car. It was the 33. It's Russell Ward who's gone in, and there's fire at the back of the Aston Martin. That's a huge incident. The pits are closed. The pits are closed. Russell Ward understeering off into the already stricken car, and very bravely the safety team are already there, even though the caution flag has only just gone out, and there's fire to the right hand side of the Aston Martin. Immediately the fire bottles are coming out. Craig Lyons, I'm afraid, caused that one himself, turned across the front of Owen Trinkler. He's getting out of a blazing car.
Yeah, but you know, that's not a place to make a pass though, John, going into the kink, but irrespective if it's a slower car.
Fire vehicle there as well. Fair point, Jeremy. Russell Ward I feel for, because he was coming upon that, tried to lift off and just
Someone needs to get
understeered
to
off.
Craig here. Someone needs to.
Craig is very much dazed. He's out of the car. Russell Ward is out of his car as well. But that was a huge, huge incident, and just underlines the speeds at that part of the circuit. The Aston Martin is destroyed, and the Mercedes-Benz is very badly damaged at the front as well. Craig lying back on the ground being attended to as Russell Ward walks away somewhat ruefully. Just tried to get out the throttle and understeered onto the grass, and from then on he was a passenger, unsighted I'm sure as well by the dust and debris. Lyons very slow out of the carousel, and
Yeah, you know, it's. I
Trinkler's alongside.
He is alongside, and at the last minute he tried to get out of it.
Yes, he did. I think he might have been better holding his line there and having a more side-to-side impact. But you can't. I don't think you can at all blame Owen Trinkler for that. He was well alongside, and Craig just completely ignored the fact he was there.
Yeah,
now we've had the benefit. We've had the benefit of a replay to play that out, and the drivers have to make their decisions quickly. 2.5 turns over for Craig before he was then hit as the car came back down by an unsighted Russell Ward, who's just, that car just came to a dead stop.
Yeah,
there was no give at all, and I'm pleased to see Russell is out of that car. That was a very scary incident.
All 3 races.
Let's
today.
not forget, though, by the way, Lyons was a lap down
Absolutely.
in that.
No. He should have let him go. No question about it. I mean, Owen Trinkler was completely alongside him, and Craig should have realised there that those are lapped. He's already a lap down. He's not fighting for position. As soon as he saw the car alongside him, he should have seen the car alongside him. Then he should have let it. He
and
really
it's not as if
go.
Trinkler was the first car among them. He had 2 or 3 cars already go by. I just mentioned it
all the
earlier
leaders
on.
have gone past him.
Yeah. I just mentioned that he'd been inside. Owen's to the right-hand side, and Owen braked really hard there.
Yeah, they both did. Yeah, they both did.
I think Owen realised that Lyons wasn't going to give him the room, but then Lyons braked because he wasn't making the corner.
That's exactly right, John.
And I mean, I'm afraid to say that Craig brought that on himself. I thought that at the original time, and I'm sticking by that now, having seen it. The car went over.
Terrifying ride.
Car went over at least a couple of times, and I think Russell Ward.
He wasn't paying attention.
Well, I wonder if there was something on the track, Jeremy, because he just understeered off.
Yeah, he wasn't paying attention. He should. The other guys around him slowed down, and Russell really did. He's been very aggressive in this race, as Russell. And
up and over for Lyons, end over end and a sideways roll, and Russell just coming through there in behind the Core Motorsport machine. That would be the number 60 that got through that. Nick Stacey, he just held his line, and it was the fire
he slowed
that
right down and pulled over to the inside of the racetrack. And
yellow flags were out very quickly indeed. Kudos to the marshals. This is going to be a long clean-up A, we've got to get the driver stabilised, and B, we've got to get the clear up and the track repaired as well. There's damage to the wall there. This is going to take some time. The pits are open, and well, we haven't quite had, it's 45 minutes the drive time, isn't it? And we're a minute away from the drive time, so I think they'll stay out for one more lap. The GS cars will stay out for one more lap. No, Paul Holton's coming in. No, he changed his mind and then he didn't. He's just realised that they're not on 45 minutes. There's 30 seconds to go to get the drive time. I reckon everyone else in GS will stay out and come in the next time by.
Well, yeah, I think what they're going to have to do is just not make the driver change now, effectively, or else they make 2 driver changes at the second, because it'll be a 2-stop race.
So do you leave your first driver in now?
This is going to be a long caution.
Long caution.
And the GS cars can do about 50 minutes of green flag racing, thereabouts, a little bit more perhaps.
Let's go to Shea Adam and see what the teams have decided. Driver change or not? Continental Tire pit lane report. Here's Shea.
We got Paul Holton in to the pit box. They're changing the tires, but he is staying in the car. The number 15 Ford Mustang is also in. Ty Majeski brought it in. Scott Maxwell will be taking it back out. Owen Trinkler in the 4016 TGM Mercedes is in. He will not be getting out. Fuel and tires for all of those cars. The 19 BMW is in. Fuel and tires for them, and they have done a driver change. So Ari Balog out, and Greg Leafouge in. The number 28 RS1 Porsche, great pit stop. They did right side sticker tires, and Spencer Pumpelly staying in that car. So no driver change going on there. And for the Volt Racing Mustang, they have changed the tires. I'll tell you if they change the driver as soon as it comes back by me. It'll either be Trent Himden taking over, or it will be Alan Brynjolfsson staying out. They have a very close side-by-side battle with the 82 BMW. That is James Clay, and it is still Brynjolfsson in the 7 Mustang. So no driver change for them as the 19 leaves the pit lane, and we are still waiting on the 15, but that was a great strategy call from the RS1 crew, the Porsche that won the championship last year.
Oh, dear me. Excitement is too much for an old bloke like me. Next time by, ST and TCR as the clean-up continues. That's not the work of a moment down there, and they're looking at the impact site as well and trying to put the blocks back into position. Owen Trink, you know what? Owen will look at that afterwards and reckon if he kept his foot in, he'd gone by, I reckon.
I don't know. I mean, he looked like he was completely. He was sort of halfway alongside him, and
Russell Ward.
I think Russell Ward should have backed off there and let them go, knowing the situation that the other guys are in, and he is in relative to everybody else. But Owen Trinkler certainly wasn't completely alongside him, and it's up to the overtaking driver to make the pass.
Yellow flag is out.
Absolutely right away. So
almost double yellows actually is out as Russell Ward arrives, and the speed that Russell went into the kink was racing speed, unabated, and he just understeered into the stricken car. He couldn't have known there was a car there, in fairness, because you couldn't see it. It was only because we had the benefit of a shot from the rear, and we'd seen what had happened beforehand. But a huge impact for Craig Lyons, the car going end over end and rolling through the right-hand side. The 15 car, Scott Maxwell, immediately tucking in to the right-hand side. Craig Lyons dazed and confused, it has to be said, getting out of that car. He's had a few big accidents and this year, and I wonder if that is going to put paid to his racing career.
Yeah,
he was there and backed out.
But he wasn't completely alongside him at the turning point. No question about that. He was going to be there, but he wasn't quite there. And but if the onus is on the overtake, it's a really tricky one, that, John, because from my perspective, the guy who's being lapped should have realised those cars were a lot faster. Why get in the way? Why not just back out and let them go through? But the number 46 car wasn't completely alongside him going into the turning point. So
he was alongside him before the corner. He was alongside him before the corner.
Only when they started lifting off.
You think?
Yes.
I'm not sure. The car. My take on that is there's a car a lap down. He's getting a blue flag.
Question.
There's a car coming through that is not. If at the very worst is 9/10 alongside you on a piece of straight heading into a fast corner, you just lift and let him go.
No question.
as I say, I think Owen Trinkler realised he's an experienced driver, that wasn't going to happen. And Owen was actually on the brakes even before Lyons was, and tried to back out of it. I'll be interested to see if there's any incident responsibility assigned to that from race control and which way it goes. I'll be honest, I think that's a tough one to call in either way, but the thing that tips it for me is Lyons has already had one incident. He's a lap down, and there's blue flags clearly showing, with a couple of cars already gone past him earlier on in that lap. He's got to be a bit more savvy than that. He really has. Yep. He's destroying a lot of machinery, and he's hurt himself there. He's given himself a real bell ringing, and that's not the first time this year that he's had a nasty incident. In come the ST cars. That'll be a talking point for a wee while, as Shea Adam has the ST and TCRs.
The TCR winner from the last time out at Lime Rock Park is having a driver change. Michael Johnson out and Steven Simpson in. 4 new tires for that car. And for the 3 Compass Racing cars, driver changes on all 3 of them. So Tom Long out of the championship leading number 77, Britt Casey Jr., hometown hero, getting in. It's Rodrigo Salas out of the 74 and Kuno Whitmer into that car, second to the championship. And then for the 75, Roy Block has gotten out, the Argentinian, handing over to Pierre Kleinebing, the Miamian, I will say. And there are fuel and tires for all 4 of those cars as well, for all of the Audis. The first ST car rolling back down the pit lane is one of the minis, as the 77 Audi in ST goes by first. It is the 73 Mini, the red 73, which will be followed by the 81 BMW, and then the 21 Porsche. Really good stop, putting Max Faulkner into that car, so Jason Rabe has gotten out. Then we've got the other M Pombo Mini. This one is the Mark Pombo, and he is indeed behind the wheel. That's the yellow one, John, just to make the little mental note. Now Steven Simpson fires the number 54 into life and starts rolling down the pit lane. And the last of the minis, the 37, waiting for his opportunity to finish service. That should be Derek Jones getting into that car. And we are going to see a lot of GS cars coming down the pit lane the next time by, when it's open for everybody. And I'm seeing a lot of drivers, John, who didn't do driver changes up on the wall. I believe I saw Trent Hinman's helmet for the Volt Racing Mustang. And if I look down towards Compass, they do have somebody waiting on the wall as well. So that might be a driver change. Paul Holton's day might be done.
Yeah, because they came in before 45 minutes were up, and they've realised that the guys behind stayed out to come in on the general pit call. And because this is going to be such a long yellow, there's no disadvantage to doing that. The GS cars will get the separation before we go back to green. So the guys who stayed out did exactly the right thing, and they are going to get track position as they come through, because they should be down. Well, actually, now I say that, of course, the other guys have already fueled, so it'll be just how long it takes them to change the drivers, the guys who've already been. And they'll put a splash in, but that won't be the time-limiting factor that they're in the pits, Jeremy. It'll be how long they can change the driver, whereas for the other guys, it will be the fuel that goes in. So there's going to be a bit of a shake-up when this goes around, and I'll be interested to see what happens.
Indeed. For all the TCR and ST teams, their 45 minutes was up before they made their pit stop. So they all made their driver changes. They're all golden. No problems there.
That's the TCR and the ST guys.
Yes.
Yes.
They can all go to the end from here. No problem now. It was 67 minutes remaining. How long is this cleanup going to take? The GS cars, they could do about 50 minutes on a tank of fuel. This is going to take a while. Is it going to take 15, 20 minutes?
Yes.
Because that's what it's going to need for all these other GS cars to be able to reach the finish with just this pit stop. So that's going to be interesting to see.
No final wave by is what has just come up on the screen.
And that will be because
so many people are about to pit this time around, I reckon. Because so many people didn't pit. So what you've got is a mixed field. Because
everybody was on the lead lap in Nicholas. No one's a lap down now, because the number 9 car was the only car that was a lap down, and that's out of the race now. So there's no need for that. What there will be is a class reset.
Correct. There will be a split.
Yeah. Before.
Question for me here is, Jeremy, how much longer can those guys who hadn't pitted? This came out at the full course yellow came out at about 42, 43 minutes. By the time they came round and opened the pits, it was just under 30 seconds under 45 minutes. How much longer can the cars that have not stopped for fuel stop? Front end of Russell Ward's Mercedes is missing. It's gone. There's an engine back there somewhere. It does sit a long way back. The headlights have gone. The slam panel's gone. The undervalance has gone. It's like somebody hasn't built the car properly. Extraordinary. But by the way, how good is the safety features built into these GT4 cars that Russell Ward was able to step out of that car, opening the door himself after absolutely nailing the stricken Craig Lyons machine. I mean, that's a lot of damage. Right, callers coming into the pit lane. Still not everybody. I reckon the Audi of Tyler McQuarrie has stayed out. I'll say something about that in a moment. Shit, Adam.
He did, John. You hit that nail on the head. We're going to be seeing a lot of driver changes happening now. The 8 has come in. They did not come in earlier for the Ford Mustang. It is Chad McCumbee out and Patrick Gallagher in. The 60, the car that was completely rebuilt from nothingness, is now having Nate Stacey removed and Con Marcelli put in. The pole-sitting car, the number 76, Paul Holton jumping out. And that is Matt Plum getting in. The 46, Team TGM Mercedes back in. It is a driver change only. Hugh Plum in and Owen Trinkler out. The sister car also has come in, and that is Ted Giovannis, who will be getting out, handing over to Guy Cosmo, who's here with his son this weekend. The number 80 has come in, and the wheels were spinning on the jack, so that should be a penalty for Brett Sandberg when he brings the car back in, because it was Martin Barkey who took it over. That's the sound of Trent Hidman and the number 7 Volt Racing Mustang. He is the first car out of the pit lane, followed by the number 69 McLaren. No, beaten out by the 8. But then the 69 McLaren, that is Jesse Lazaire, who has gotten out of the car and handed over to Corey Fergus. Eric Foss is in the number 56 Murillo Racing Mercedes. And the 28 was the brilliant car that did 2 tire change on their last stop. They came back in, changed the other 2, while Spencer Pumpelly was handing over to Dylan McIvern. They lost no time during the driver change, and they got 2 new tires on the other side of the car. And it was the 8 that got out ahead of the 69. So it is a Mustang ahead of a McLaren.
Yes, now how's that all going to shake out? It wasn't just the Audi that stayed out. The 59, Jack Roush Jr. stayed out in the Ford. The BMW of James Clay, the 82, stayed out. And Scott Maxwell then is
yeah,
out
James,
as well.
James Clay and Scott Maxwell stopped on the first opportunity.
So they're the leaders who have been into the pit lane.
Correct.
They'll be wondering how far they can go on the fuel that they got and how much more yellow. Tyler McQuarrie and Jack Roush Jr. stayed out. They have not yet been into the pit lane, and the only thing I can think of there is they're going to go as long as they can before they stop, so they're absolutely sure that they'll get to the end. We reckon they can do about 50 minutes. There are 57 minutes to go, but still some yellow flag running to do. Shadam.
Not the case for the 59, John. Remember the Core Motorsports car? They came into Lime Rock in the championship lead with a comfortable cushion. They left with a very, very marginal cushion because they lost everything on their pit stop when they brought both cars in at the same time. Well, they brought the car that is leading the championship in first. They're going to bring the 59 in when it comes in next. They already have their next driver up on the wall, so Joey Attenbury will be getting in from Jack Roush Jr. So that 59 Mustang, they simply did it so that it would not compromise the car that needs the most points.
Right, that makes perfect sense to me. The remains of the Aston Martin number 9 that Craig Lyons just about got himself out of is heading back. A fractured fuel tank. Oh, and one of the steps from one of the truck ramps has just fallen off the left-hand side through Canada Corner, and now the driver's door is open. That was the initial impact. That's why we saw the fire. The fuel cell has ruptured on the back of that car. That's how big that was. I've never seen that before. That was huge. And of course, as the car rolled over, it was spraying fuel everywhere, and that's where the fire came from, on the rear left-hand side of the car.
Yeah.
Very brave by the IMSA safety team, who got there in the Cayenne very quickly. They pulled out the fire bottles that they had in the car. That's not a fire tender. That's an incident response vehicle. And they were there fighting it with hand bottles to make sure that Craig had enough time to get out in case there was anything worse. But a huge split in the fuel cell at the back of that car. The back of the car is completely and utterly destroyed. In fact, it's been shortened by
Feet, probably,
a foot certainly, foot 15 inches. And the right rear of that car, which is where it went in first and where the fire broke out on that car, has gone completely. There's not even any semblance of the suspension pickup points or anything. That is an ex-Aston Martin. That one ain't coming back to life. But that said, the driver's cell is intact. Even with the big hit on that side, on the right-hand side, thank goodness it was a left-hand drive car, but even so, even with that big speed hit that the Mercedes coming in caused, Craig still able to get out of the car. Actually, that was turned around the wrong way, wasn't it? So it took a hit on the driver's side from when Russell came in. So that's very impressive indeed. GT4 cars might be the entry level to GT, international GT racing, but never skimp on any kind of safety. Jack Rouse Jr. back in the pit lane in the 59. Tyler McQuarrie and James Clay stay out again halfway through. Shea Adam has pit callers though.
A very unexpected pit caller in the shape of the 46. That is the car that is second in the championship, and it pulls into its box at the complete opposite end of the pit lane. I think they're going to top it off with fuel, John. I think that's all that's going on there. But for the 19, the BMW Stephen Cameron Racing, it is a driver change only. So now Barlog is out and Lee Fug is in. It was fuel only for the 46, and for the 59, they came in, they did their pit stop perfectly. The fuel and tires changed. That's what they wish they had done at Lime Rock, but that is what they did at Road America, and both cars got out with good pit stops. So Core Motorsports having a really good weekend, salvaged at least.
Well, the 46 had to come in, Shea, because Owen Trinkler was still at the wheel of that car.
No, they had done a driver change already, I believe.
Not according to the timing.
I had seen a driver change.
Just flipped over to Hugh Plum as they went out. That's their third time down the pit lane for that car.
Yeah, they stopped on the first opportunity on lap 16 and then each of the last 2 laps.
Right, so they've topped that car off. They're still on the lead lap, and there will be a class split.
Yeah, we do need to find out why
down to
that made the extra stop there for sure.
Yeah, 15th position. They've dropped down to Gregory Leefuger in the 19 car now. Shea Adam, what do you reckon? You had the eyes on.
What I saw was they came down the pit lane the first time before the window had opened for the driver change. They did fuel and tires, sent Owen back out. Then they came down when everybody else came and did a driver change only, which I'm really certain that that's what I saw when it was Hugh Plum jumping off the wall and Owen Trinkler getting out of the car. And then this last time, all I saw were the fuel probes going into the car. I didn't even see a door open. So I'm walking down there. I'm going to double check, but that's what my eyes saw at least.
Thank you very much indeed.
Sounds about right.
Well, again, what you're banking on here is that you've got enough fuel in the car right now to go to the end. 58 minutes to go. It's not far away from the clear-up being complete.
It's going to be another 5 minutes or so.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. By the time we get
so,
what's
the game that Tyler McQuarrie and James Clay are playing in the leading Audi and the second place BMW? They're staying out there so that when they come in, they have definitely got enough fuel to go to the end. But they don't want to have to do that under green, because everybody else is probably.
Yeah, I mean,
it depends how much yellow there is between now and going back to green. If we get more than 50 minutes of green flag racing, all of those guys who've just stopped will have to splash, or they'll have to save fuel. I reckon the 39 and the 82 are saying, we've rolled the dice, we're going to wait it out as long as we can, and we will stop either on the lap before they go green or on the first lap round and fuel it to the end.
Yeah, and what that's going to do is cost them all the track position. They're going to go from the front to the back. So not
but
quite
the gamble
sure.
then is that everybody has got to either slow back or take another splash.
I can't see that one's really going to work, but at least the car's running out the front of the field for a couple of laps. For James Clay though, and in Bimmerworld team, that is strange because they've already they know how to win races, championships, everything else.
Well, and they're second in the championship.
That's
don't
what
forget.
I'm saying. So
yeah.
Why they would take that gamble at this stage? Yeah, they're both onto pit lane now. I think that's probably a bit of a tactical miscue there.
Because the class split is about to start. They should have done that 1 lap earlier. The class split is about to start, and I'm not sure they're going to get the class split either. If they'd got that in, Jeremy, before the class split had started and they'd come round at the back, they would have just been on the back of the GS cars. Now, I think by the time that they've done their pit stops, and this is the first time for them down the pit lane, I think, remarkably, actually they've done that a lap late. What the remarkable thing I'm about to say is, do you remember the BMW that got tipped sideways with the big dent in the door, the Miller BMW, and went back out again? It's now in second place. I thought that car was done for the day. It looked like suspension damage, but Shea assured me that it had gone back out. Indeed, it had, and it's going to restart second to Scott Maxwell, who was the first car to avoid the big accident from Craig Lyons. It's a huge shake-up. I reckon third is going to be Corey Fergus. No, check that. Third is going to be Trent Hinman in the 7 Volt, then Patrick Gallagher in the other Ford, the 8 car, then Corey Fergus in 5th position in the McLaren.
Yeah, and those guys have all just made the one pit stop.
Let's have an update from Shea Adam and this Continental Tire Pit Lane report. Bring us some sense and sensibility, Shea.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. My eyes did not deceive me. The first pit stop for Team TGM was fuel and tires. The second was the driver change. And the third was topping off so that they can make it to the end with this yellow helping them out. The reason that the Audi, the number 39, just pitted, did fuel, tires, and a driver change, the reason they waited was to get within their expected fuel window. They didn't want to bring the car back in again, so they just sent it out now at this point. Not sure if that's the right strategy call. We'll see how it all pans out. And yes, that number 88 BMW now with Chris Miller, guy from just up the street in Minnesota, well, one state away. He knows this track really well, and the safety car lights are out. He's going to be somebody to mess with out there.
Right, under 55 minutes to go. It's going to be tight if we go full green. The good news, at least some good news from that horrible looking incident, is I'm told by the team that Russell Ward has been evaluated and released from the track care centre. He looked the least shaken up of those two drivers there, remarkably, after such a high-speed incident for both of them. And we'll wait for word on Craig Lyons. I suspect he is getting a little more detailed look at the way that he came out of there. He was definitely dazed, and they'll be worried about a concussion for him for sure. Taking a few big hits this season already. Well, that's the good news, at least, on Russell Ward, and we'll bring you news on Craig Lyons when we get it. Under 54 minutes to go, Jeremy, and
and they've done, they'll have done all of these cars except for the 2 that came in last time around. They'll all have done 2 extra laps of yellow flag running. This has been a really quick cleanup. I must admit, it's been
very
cleaned
good.
up quicker than I thought it would be. So it's going to leave them over 50 minutes remaining under green flag conditions.
Scott Maxwell has done 4 extra laps under yellow compared to Tyler Cook. He was last in at the end of lap 17, as was the BMW number 88, and those are the 2 guys at the head of the field at the moment, so they've got the most to lose by this going green right now. It's going to be a little under 53 minutes. It's close, it might be able to go all the way, and they have to roll the dice, because if there has to be a splash at the end, they'll lose their position, and I don't think you can soft pedal in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, not with this kind of class of field behind you. We get the green flag, and immediately Trent Hinman jumps out to the right hand side, pulls up alongside the BMW in second place. He noses ahead, and at the line he will be just ahead in second place by 0.01 second, and he's got the position on the right hand side of the track as he goes down into turn 1. Miller trying to hold him off, but he will drop in to 3rd position, also making up ground there as well. Pat Gallagher, as he's up into 4th position. Patrick Gallagher in the number 8 Ford. Both of the Fords making a great restart now, and Gallagher looking down the inside of turn 3, also in there Paul Holt. Great restart there, Jeremy, by Trent Hinman.
Certainly was, and he's going to be a man to watch. I saw Michael Johnson just before the race. Michael Johnson, well, there's 2 Michael Johnsons actually. One's driving, or was driving, number 54 car. The other, better known as Mike, is the team manager effectively, or the strategist certainly, for that number 7 team. Talking before the race, he was just hoping that they were going to be in a position to challenge for the race at the end, and that's exactly where Trent Hinman is right now.
Shea Adam, before this gets too ridiculous again at the front of the field, give me some good news from Winwood Racing.
The other car is back out from behind the wall. They've managed to fix it, so whether it did need a new alternator belt or not, I will find out. But here, Bryce Ward is going back out in the car, at least for now, to complete his minimum drive time because he has done every race, well, except for that one that he missed because of his concussion, but he can't remember it. And he will be going back out to run around Road America, and it means Christian Hohenadel will get race laps at this beautiful track that he flew around the world to come and race at.
Yes, you can't remember not doing it. Yes, exactly right. It's Scott Maxwell that leads, and Trent Hinman is closing in on the veteran. In third place, the BMW number 88 is under pressure through the kink, the scene of that horrendous-looking accident. Some 15 minutes or thereabouts ago, in fact, a little more than that to go now. 25 minutes ago. Wheel rotation on the jack stands for, guess what, car number 80. Eagle Eye Adam spotted that one, Martin Barkey's car. In the hands now of Brett Sandberg. That will be a drive-through penalty. Side by side for third place, off the track for third place. Patrick Gallagher wasn't given racing room there by the number 88 BMW. They've both lost out. The BMW more than the Ford there. And now 3 cars across the track as the number 4 Ted Giovannis Motorsport car in the hands now of Guy Cosmo tries to make some kind of advantage. It's almost like side-by-side racing on an oval as we've got 2 lines of 2 going across the start-finish line, and the lead has changed through all of that as well. Trent Hinman goes to point in that Volt Racing Ford Mustang. Beautiful run down the inside. And I can give you an update, and thanks very much to our colleagues at the IMSA. Greg Elkin has just popped in. Craig Lyons awake and alert, but transported to a local hospital for further evaluation. So there is some good news there. A reminder that Russell Ward, the other driver involved in that accident, evaluated and released from the track care centre. Into the pit lane, the number 21, Max Faulkner. Now, has he got damage on the body motion Porsche as he swerves very late into his pit stop? That car's been in the pit lane before because that's a change of driver. Looks like, oh, and off for another Aston Martin, and it's a BMW. He's going to come right back across the track and gets nudged off. That's the 09. It's not an Aston Martin day-to-day. That's Peter Ludwig back in the championship after a long layoff.
And that was unfortunate. I think it was Chris Miller there
who
got on the dirt going into turn 6 on the right under braking, got it all sideways, and I think that Peter Ludwig was kind of minding his own business and making a move there, but that was really unfortunate for Peter Ludwig.
He got a little tap by one of the Mercedes that was in there as well, but that was right at the very end of it. Ford going very, very wide. Is that what started it? No, that's further back. Yes, it was actually.
No, that was earlier on.
That was earlier on. That was the excuse me. That was coming back up to the start-finish line.
That was Chris Miller leaving no room. Absolutely, we're on board.
Chris Miller.
This will be the view here from on board with Patrick Gallagher.
Did he get a touch? Yes, he did.
Ushered off the track.
Yeah, he did. I think that might be a penalty for Chris Miller there. Side-to-side contact with that car. He already had a bit of a ding earlier on. Chris just drifting. Just spinning through. Yeah, that was turn 1 last time around or the time before. Scott Maxwell now. Yeah, it was the 88 car just running out of road at the end of the curb at turn number 6, and in there definitely the Mercedes-Benz that was in there. Guy Cosmo was close by, and I think the other car that was in there as well, Hugh Plum was in there. I think he was a couple of cars further back, so it wasn't Eric Foss. So which was the other Mercedes that was in that as well, the mostly white car? Meantime, Scott Maxwell just half a second behind Trent Hinman, down into turn 5, closes up on the back of the bright yellow number 7 Volt Racing Mustang. Same spot on the track further back, the 69 McLaren making up a position. That's Corey Fergus on Eric Voss, and that's a new 6th place for the McLaren. So McLaren's now third and 6th. Ford's 1st and 2nd, 4th and 5th. So Ford, McLaren, Ford, McLaren.
That was the fastest lap of the race last time around for Trent Hinman, having taken over the lead there from Scott Maxwell. The 2 Fords still out front, but they're going to watch their mirrors. That McLaren is going to be coming.
but the
Pressure.
fastest lap of his race for Scott Maxwell, and the lead's only half a minute. Meantime, in ST, a new leader, it's the 73 Mini, and he's got Devon Jones behind him in the 81 BMW.
That was after the pit stops. He managed to sneak ahead. He's just about trying to hold on.
Yes, and he's pulling away through the twisty bits. The 88 and 09 incident reviewed. No action. That's the latest incident. No action for that one. What we haven't seen, and I'll have to go and find this. I should have had this screen up earlier, but didn't think I would need it. If there was any investigation on the Trinket Lions incident. So no action for the 88 BMW and the 09 Mercedes-Benz. Listening to IMSA Radio live from trackside with sound and vision via IMSA TV, the IMSA app, all around the world. No geo blocks, no breaks to interrupt what has been a very hectic race indeed. So go to Shea Adam with news on the BMW number 88.
Back in the pit lane again with a bit more right side damage, although it's hard to tell what is new because this car has been through the wars already today, but a lot of grass in the grill of this car, and they're pulling up the engine cover just to make sure that things aren't overheating as Chris Miller's staying behind the wheel, and they are giving a bunch of different signals I've never seen before. Oh, there's something wedged in the right front of the car that they can see that they're trying to clear out, and they've just given the signal to turn the car off. They don't want it to overheat and ultimately have a bigger engine issue. So they're going to see if they can clear it up by hand, but right now it's not looking too good, John.
Thank you, Shea. It's not been there day to day. Nailed early on in that incident, not their fault. And then the side-by-side contact with the Mustang, and then more contact with Peter Ludwig.
New fastest lap of the race last time around. This time it was number 60 car. That's the championship leader, Kyle Marcelli.
Do I get the guitar out now and start playing one piece at a time?
You remember at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, they came away with the victory there, and he ran out of fuel on the cool down lap.
Yes, good point.
In that race, so he's turning very fast laps here.
We might see that here because the pace is hot, and 53 minutes is nearly 54 minutes is stretching the envelope. Shea confirming the 88 BMW is out of the race. That car has been retired. Chris Miller brought the car in, and it's sitting in 18th position in GS at the moment. It will fall further down. Brett Sandberg has done the drive-through in the number 80 and has dropped down to 19th position. The fight back starts here for that number 80 Ford Mustang, the white car with the darker racing stripes. Patrick Gallagher just ahead of Corey Fergus. They're fighting over 5th position in ST. We've got a classic battle. The front wheel drive Mini, nimble, quick through the corners, but not that quick down the straights, particularly on its own. The BMW, well, almost a perfect 50-50 weight balance. The BMW always been a great handling car, but it is struggling to match the cornering speed of the Mini. Screeching through Canada corner in 3rd place, the number 52 yellow Mini, but it's the 73 that is leading from the 81 BMW. Those two cars then with about a couple of Minis lengths between them, and that's the battle for the ST lead coming through the final corner and heading up the hill towards us. Trent Hinman's got out almost 2 seconds.
And his last 2 laps absolutely identical at 2 minutes 20.90.
That's only half a second away from his very best lap that he's done in the race. Side by side in ST. Oh, a little bit of swerving around, a little bit of intimidation. The BMW has got good top speed, but the Mini will brake super late into the first corner. Hardly has to brake at all. Just throw the Mini at the corner and get your foot out. Meanwhile, in 3rd position, the 52 car threw itself a little bit too much into the corner, and there's damage to the right front as the lead battle goes down to the bottom of the hill in turn 3. And again, the 81 BMW is right alongside, but Jones can't get by Pombo, and again has to drop in behind. That's the beauty of these front wheel drive Minis, already going a little bit defensive, forcing the BMW to the longer way around the kink on the back straight, but now has to cut back across, but has enough water to do that. That was fine. There was clear blue water between them, or clear black and red water between them in the case of the BMW Mini that leads. Up the hill, the BMW does have a little more torque and horsepower into turn 6. All you can hear in the background are the screeching of the tyres of the 37 car, which is trying to get on terms with these two, as that one is being ushered round the corner. Well, it's come to a halt. The 52 car having hit the curb, I think, too hard at turn 1. I'm guessing that's a drive shaft. That is the Achilles heel of these Minis. They've had a few drive shaft issues. He's letting the car roll backwards down the hill. Now, normally that would be frowned upon, but I think that's going to be okay because there's a way to get that car off the track there. Meantime, the 60, one piece at a time car is through and into third place. Scott Maxwell has dropped back now to third place because Matt Plum in the McLaren has gone past him as well. So here's how it stands with 40 minutes to go. 7, Trent Hinman leads by a second now over Matt Plum in the McLaren number 76, which had been leading the race comfortably before the yellow flag for that big incident. The Mini is behind the wall and in good shape. That's great driving, great reversing using gravity by the Mini number 52. Yeah, hit the inside curb way too hard at turn 1, and I'm guessing that that's dislodged a drive shaft or something in the drive line. Let me go back to what's happening at the front of the field. Trent Hinman is being caught by Matt Plum. Scott Maxwell is falling back into the clutches of Kyle Marcelli. And Corey Fergus is about another 5 seconds further back with Pat Gallagher in the Ford in 6th position. 7, 76, 15, 60, 69 and 80 your top 6. The best Mercedes in 6th position now, Eric Foss in the number 56, the tangerine and black and white car. The ST battle through turn 1. The Mini carrying superb mid-corner speed. Now down the hill under the Briggs and Stratton sign. Down into that corner and gets a lovely run out of it. The BMW in behind. So we've got M. Pombo, D. Jones, and M. Pombo, the top 4 in ST.
Super helpful, isn't it?
M. Pombo stopped, by the way, in 4th position.
That's true.
That's not helpful, guys, is it? There's only 5 cars in the class, and 4 of them have got only 2 names between them. In GS, gotta love this. In GS, the battles continue further down the top 10. As the Mustang number 59 is leading just on the bottom end of the top 10 actually. Joey Atterbury is in 10th position with Hugh Plum, winner last time out for Ted Giovannis Motorsport in the 46 silver and blue, or dark grey and blue. TGM Mercedes behind him. Then it's Greg Leofuga in the 19 BMW, then the Tyler Cook BMW, so rhubarb and custard BMW, black and white BMW next up as they go across the line. And closing in on them is Jeff Westphal in that 39 Audi, the last car to stop for fuel. Tyler Cook and Jeff Westphal, the 82 and the 39 were the last cars to stop for fuel. So theoretically, they can go the longest. Whether they can go to the checkered flag in 38 minutes time, question mark.
Big question mark.
But if they can't do it, none of the cars ahead can either.
I agree. That now is the key to this race. Who can make it to the end and who can't?
Well, who's the first car we think can make it all the way to the checkered flag?
Those 2 really. I mean, they've got the
best chance, surely.
They've got the best chance. I think the number 15 car, Scott Maxwell, I'm pretty sure he's on fuel save mode right now, and he's falling back in the 4th position. But can the leaders make it? I don't know. Are they just going to go as fast as they can, knowing they have to make a stop?
He might be playing the long game, and that wouldn't be the first time that Scott Maxwell has done that. Meantime, the battle behind the number 46 is really hotting up. That's Hugh Plum. Joey Atterbury's got away from that battle just a little bit. I wonder as well if the 46 Hugh Plum is running to fuel numbers.
Well, I think most
he's
of them are.
he's going to be close. He stopped on lap 20. He was the man who stopped on lap 20. But lap 23, Brent Sandberg stopped on lap 2. Oh no, that was a drive-through. So no, that's a remember that, Hindhaugh, because you'll make that same mistake later on. Meantime, Hinman, Plum and Kyle Marcelli separated by just 2.5 seconds. Still being, I'm sure that race control is still looking at that 46 and 09 incident, or 9 incident, excuse me. Just a reminder that the car that came along afterwards, the 33, as the Aston Martin flipped into the air and catching fire as it came down onto its wheels with a ruptured fuel tank even before Russell Ward arrived on the scene. Russell Ward checked and released from the track care centre. Craig Lyons alert and awake, but transported to a local hospital for further evaluation. That's the official word on the 2 drivers involved in that very scary looking accident. It would seem that at this point we can say that the safety measures on those 2 GT4 cars have done their job. Best wishes to Craig, hope he's okay. He's taken a few big hits this year, and with the concern about head injuries, they'll be wanting to make sure there's absolutely nothing awry there. Head injuries and concussions very much in the news, of course, in the last year or so in motor racing and in other sports. And our best wishes to Craig. If we get any more news before the end of the race, we will of course pass it along to you. 35 minutes to go. Hinman has got Plum pretty much right with him now. It was 9/10 of a second across the line. It's about half of that through the carousel. This will ebb and flow as the 2 cars have slightly different strengths and weaknesses around the circuit. I've been watching Twitter at IMSA Radio. I'm not ignoring it, but there's so much going on that I'm taking it all under advisement at the moment. But thank you for all the kind words about the broadcast so far, and credit to our production crew both here at the track and under Keith D'Alessandro in Charlotte for keeping us updated with what's going on. Bubba Clark in my ears as well this weekend, which is always a source of great comfort to me. Thank you, Bubba, for the information being passed through from here at the track. Side by side for the ST lead, BMW versus BMW Mini, and this time it looks like the 81 BMW might have just eased ahead. It's going to have to move over on him to get the line. Oh, this is tight. Come on, guys, play nicely. Down into 5. The BMW front wheel, rear wheel drive has to go around the outside. The Mini front wheel drive stays on it. The 81 Bimmer World car goes round the outside and just about completes the pass. Little tap on the brake lights, not to brake check the car behind, but to make sure that the brake pads were on the brake discs, the rotors there, because he ran over the rumble strips on the outside of the corner. Had to go way wide off the track. They could not have been any closer, and at the lead of the race, first and second absolutely together, coming through the same part of the circuit. And here comes the McLaren down the inside, has position to drivers left in turn 5 down the hill, and Trent Hinman will try and do the outside, doesn't get it done, hits the rumble strip, can't get the traction, and the lead has passed to Matt Plum, and McLaren is back in the lead after all of the shake-up that nasty accident caused. The McLaren that was dominating before that in the early 40 minutes or thereabouts in the race, exactly as they were, back in the lead. But now behind them is the Volt Racing car. So now the question for me is, what can Matt Plum do, Jeremy? Will he be able to drive away? And what is the fuel situation for those 2 cars? They've been fighting hard.
Yeah, he won't want to drive away. He'll just want to try and maintain his position. Here's this battle they're going on for. What is this? This is for 10th on back.
12th place. It's
12th on back, yeah. More.
The interesting thing about this for me, with the 19, the Rhubarb and Custard BMW, is going to lose that position as through goes the Ford of Joey Atterbury, who's been up and down that battle in the last couple of laps. But the 59 car retakes that position from Gregory Liefurger. The interesting thing to me is that the BMW number 82, which is also now just gone past its team car and off at the kink and on the grass and lifts off and just about holds it, and has lost a couple of places there. And here comes the number 39, that's the Audi, the dark grey and green car, Jeff Westphal. Well, that Audi and the BMW are the best cars in terms of fuel on board. They stopped last for fuel. So with just over half an hour to go, those two cars, and let's remember, Jeremy, they are only 16 seconds from the leader. That's not a pit stop. If you have to splash here, whether you're first or fifth, you're going to lose positions. And if you can go to the end, whoever can go to the end in pretty much the top 16 GS cars, in fact, make that 17, 18, because they're all on the lead lap. So the whole of the GS field, pretty much, that's still running, down to the 99 Aston Martin, are still on the lead lap. And any of those cars that can go to the end are going to be in a really good position.
That's right. Everybody is on the lead lap. The only car that isn't is number 21 ST car, and he actually hasn't been lapped by his class leaders either after that extra stop. Was it a drive-through he had to the restart, or came into the pits at the restart? But everybody else is on the same lead
The
lap.
21, I think, was a tyre problem. Shay, can you remind me, did they just change one tyre on the 2-1 car?
Yes, that was a left rear tire
you.
that needed to be changed.
Thank you. I did think you actually told me that in my ears, and I forgot to report it, but it was lodged somewhere in a filing cabinet in there.
The whole key now is down to fuel consumption.
Now, by the way, Kyle Marcelli, championship leader in a car. Well, championship lead looked to have gone earlier on in the week with that car in many pieces. And Kyle Marcelli now right with Trent Hinman, and the top three are within 1 second of each other. Meantime, a significant battle further down the field because of the fuel situation. The dark grey, light grey and bright green Audi R8, the only Audi GS car in the field, sits at the moment in the hands of Jeff Westphal in 13th position, and now 25 seconds away from the leader, but having pitted a couple of laps later than the leading cars. Scott Maxwell is the one who's in the biggest fuel trouble. He stopped on lap 17. Now, it's marginal for all of these guys because there was a lot of yellow flags there. We went back green at the end of lap number 22, I reckon, and we're on lap 31 now.
End of 21.
End of 21, right, thank you. And that was with 53 minutes to go. We reckon about 50 minutes for the GS cars, depending on how hard you're pushing. And at the moment, everyone is pushing very, very hard indeed, within a second of their fastest laps right the way through the field at the moment. And the battle for second is very much on here, with Trent Hinman seeing Kyle Marcelli large in his mirrors as he weaves to the left, then to the right, down at turn 5. Marcelli cutting back, trying to get the drive up the hill in that chrome and red number 60. The moment can't get alongside the similar bright yellow Volt machine of Trent Hinman. Now remember, these cars do have fairly sophisticated fuel measuring devices, fuel flow devices, and what the team chief at the moment will be doing is asking the drivers at various parts on the circuit to give him a readout as Westphal goes up the inside of Lee Fugger and gets it done going into turn 6, and that will be a big sigh of relief for Jeff Westphal. Now he's got to deal with Joey Atterbury, who's the next car ahead. Tyler Cook's dropped off that battle just a little bit, but only a little bit, since he went off the road at the kink. That's enough to give anybody a little bit of a shake.
Yeah, and in the meantime, number 46, Hugh Plum, he was dicing with this lot, if you remember, just a few laps ago. Well, he's pulled right away from them. He's put already almost 4 seconds between himself and this group of cars.
And remember, he got a splash of fuel. They made that third trip down the pit lane, and they brim-filled that car at the end of the 19th lap. So he's only 1 lap worse off on fuel than the people who are best off for fuel. Just going back to the point I was making there before that pass, the drivers have got the ability to pull up on the screen in these GT4 cars a fuel readout, and That will have been reset the last time they were in the pit lane. Some of the cars do it automatically when you go up on the jacks or when the fuel plug goes in. Some of it has to be done manually.
Side by side there for 4th place heading towards turn 1. Number 15 car really under pressure now from Corey Fergus in the MIA McLaren.
Keep an eye on that as they come over the brow down to the 3rd corner. So the team chief will be on the radio. There is radio communications to these GT4 cars, and he'll be saying to the driver, it's somewhere on the track where they're not too busy, give me your fuel number, and it'll be 46.2 or whatever. And it's normally litres that's gone through the fuel flow. And there'll be frantic calculations going on. The driver's not doing the calculations, he's just reporting the number. And what the team chief will be doing is working out how much fuel per lap is being used, and then saying, right, I need you to lift. Next time round, it has to be somewhere near 44.2. Oh, well, it's not, it's 45.3. Right, well, you have to ease it again. Here comes the 60 car, and this is for 2nd position. And Trent Hinman just caught up behind one of the minis there, had to lift out of the throttle as they go down through turn 8. They're almost together and into the carousel, but I think there's just enough room there for Karl Marcelli to pull in front and get the racing line. There is respectful, sensible racing. It can happen. Those cars are identical, absolutely identical. That was great racing, sensible racing with 25 minutes to go. This is not the last lap of the race. You don't push too hard. Yes, you make it difficult, but at some stage, Jeremy, you've got to give up the position.
Indeed so, and yeah, they're both Fords ultimately as well, and Ford is chasing after the Manufacturers' Championship. They hold the lead coming into this weekend as a result of the fact that they've won more races than anybody else primarily this year. They won 3 of the 6 races, so Ford has the 4 races, out of the 6, so they've got a pretty handy 12-point lead over BMW coming in here. I was told, like I said earlier on, that the Fords at least can do about 50 minutes of green flag racing. So,
and how are they compared to the other cars?
Well, that we don't know for sure, but certainly what I can tell you is that IMSA has worked very hard to make sure that the fuel windows on each of the manufacturers is pretty close.
Well, 25 minutes to go, so
Fergus did make that pass from 4th place.
Yes, he did. Corey Fergus in the McLaren, now just 8 seconds away from the leader. How are our last fuel stop cars doing? Well, Jeff Westphal past the BMW a lap or two ago, now in 12th position, is nearly 30 seconds back from the leader. The largest fuel tank belongs to the McLaren. There's half of a fuel stint to go, or thereabouts, 25 minutes. So the numbers that you'll be looking at, let's say you've got a 19-litre fuel tank, you don't want to be over 45 at this point. You know you can do 50 minutes. All kinds of calculations. I'll tell you now, there's just as much sweat and work going on with various spreadsheets on the pit wall as there is behind the wheel of the car. Great Mercedes internecine battle here, going up to turn 6. Oh, and Guy Cosmos lost it. How unusual is that? Put the right-hand wheels onto the dirt as he went up into turn number 6 under the Corvette bridge. He was putting pressure on.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about him because he'd made a pass on number 28 car Dylan McIvern a couple of laps ago, and it closed up onto that little group there. He was trying to get past number 56 and a number 8 car that are battling for 6th and 7th places.
Yeah, he slotted to the left, then to the right, and swung too far to the right, and put the right-hand wheels onto the dirt. Actually, that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Dylan McIvern, seeing what goes on ahead of him, gets down through the gearbox and hugs the inside before he gets through the turn and gets that position back. And Eric Voss lives to fight another day, having been under pressure for 7th position before that incident. ST leader Kuno Wittmer with just 0.3 of a second between him and the leader, and the 2nd place car, excuse me. So the 74 leads from the 77, and that's Britt Casey Jr. Between them at the moment is the car, the Mercedes, the remaining Mercedes from Windward. Laps down, remember, after an issue earlier on with an alternator belt, we believe. And so at the moment, an interloper into the TCR battle. 15's in the pits. Scott Maxwell is in the pits. This must be a splash of fuel. Shea Adam, the Ford, has come in.
It has, and it's a long trundle all the way down to its pit box. So I do see the pit board has now been lowered. Took a little bit of time. They didn't want the guy who handles the lollipop maybe for his arms to get tired.
Any tyres, Shea?
There appear to be tires on the wall. Let's see if they actually get put onto the car as it gets walked out of gear and now coasts to a stop. Yes, tires at the very least on the left-hand side, and they are doing a driver change. Now, when they put Scott Maxwell in the car, he was slightly short in terms of Ty Majeski's drive time, so they have to put Ty back into the car. They were asking if they could get away with just leaving Scott in for the end of the race, but there was a rule change in IMSA done not too long ago to make sure that if you want to win the race on the track, you have to have had all of your drivers do the minimum drive time. So this means Ty Majeski, who is using this as practice for his NASCAR race a little bit later on in the month, will be finishing the race in the number 15 Multimatic Racing Mustang. He is getting 4 new Continental tires. Car drops off the air jacks. They perfectly fueled it, knocks it into gear, and a nice bit of white smoke comes out as he takes the Ford back onto the track.
Well, that's going to take that car miles out of contention unless there's a yellow flag, but it will go to the end from here, Jeremy.
Yes.
We know that, and it can go to the end with new tyres and full rich. Now that car will drop out the top 10. It was sitting in 4th position, remember, when it came into the pit lane. Check that, it dropped to 5th, hadn't it? Because Corey Fergus had got through. Remember you saying that.
Under that prior, that's correct.
ST, the BMW, now 5.5 seconds away from the lead mini, which is the 73 car, the 37 in 3rd position, and then the Porsche Max Faulkner in the 21 car, but some way back. Matt Plum leading by 2 seconds with 19 minutes to go. How close on fuel? How close on fuel? I'm looking at the lap time of Jeff Westphal last time. He did a 22.7. The leader did a 22.6. Kyle Marcelli did a 21.9. Corey Fergus did a 21.9. Now, those guys who are doing the 21.9s, is that because they think they can go to the end, or because they know they can't and they're trying to make up as much time as possible? Hugh Plum and Guy Cosmo were side by side across the line, and I think Plum got ahead. Yes, he did. So Hugh Plum up into 8th position. Guy Cosmo in the 4. Guy was the car, the 4 car was the car that had to avoid the spinning Peter Ludwig earlier on, by the way. And assistance from behind the wall for a car, which I haven't got the number for right now. I'll get you that in a moment. Sorry, I started reading that before I realised that there wasn't the car number in front of me. Westphal not pulling away in that Audi from the BMW that he passed a few laps ago. 39. Still, actually, I tell a lie there. Joey Atterbury's gone through, and Gregory Leafuger has dropped well back now, and that was Tyler Cook I could see right behind. I think Tyler Cook's got by Joey Atterbury as well. So I think that's another position change. I'll check that on the timing screen as they come by this time around. All of a sudden, however, the leader has been caught. So one man who's not saving fuel, as I suggested, as into the pit lane again comes Ty Majeski. So that must have been the 59 car that was coming, the 15 car that was called for the penalty for assistance from behind the wall on that last pit stop. Yeah, that car's driven through. Okay, thank you. Kyle Marcelli, I suggested last time around when I saw him in the 21s that he's either fueled to the end and fine or not, and trying to make up as much ground as he can. I can't tell you which one it is, but I can tell you he's closed the leader down. It was 1.3 seconds last time around. It was about half a second on the back straight. It's gone out a little bit to around about a second now. Trent Hinman just holding on there in 3rd. 76 McLaren leads. That's the dark grey and red car going through the first corner and down under the Briggs and Stratton sign. Kyle Marcelli in 2nd in the red fronted and chrome number 60. Not looking exactly as it should, because that is a clone car. It's a Bitzer one piece at a time, they were calling it earlier on, the Johnny Cash-mobile. Rebuilt into a different shell, but with as many parts from the original car that started the week as was physically possible and that were serviceable. That is the rule at IMSA. Third is that highlighter yellow, number 7 of Trent Hinman. And then there's about 4 seconds back to Corey Fergus in the 69 McLaren. That's your top 4. In TCR, 74 Audi leads 77 Audi. Those two just half a second apart. In ST, 6 seconds between the BMW, the Bimmer World 81 car, and the 73 Mini. And we have 16 minutes to go. And Shea Adam is looking up and down the pit lane, and I know exactly what she's doing. She's trying to get any clue at all from the guys at the head of the field as to whether they look confident, not confident, or just plain scared about whether they're going to make the end of the race, yeah?
Spot on, John. I was actually looking to see who's getting ready, and both of the lead cars have their mechanics not just sitting around, but they are geared up as if the cars could come into the pit lane at any given time. So the 76 Compass Racing crew and the 60 Mustang, they're both waiting for cars to come in, and as I say that, there are crew members getting up on the wall for the McLaren. So
76.
This isn't over.
Right, 76. That might just be a precaution. Meanwhile, in the TCR battle down at turn 5, the 74 is looming large in the windscreen of the 77. Kuno Whitmer has Britt Casey Jr. right with him, and that is the battle for the championship. At the moment, there's a point between them in the favour of the car that's in second position, and that would be overturned, Jeremy, if it stays as it is right now.
That's correct. There's a 3-point differential between first and second, so that would turn that around, as you say. And the guy I'm watching right now is Corey Fergus, who's really charging along there. He's putting about 3/4 of a second a lap on the number 7 car ahead of him.
Let me tell you the situation on fuel, at least when the last pit stops were called. Or the last pit calls, so fuel was last put in. The first 7 cars, yes, on lap 19, then lap 20 for Hugh Plum.
Yeah,
So there's nothing between those cars.
Yeah.
It's 1 lap fewer than that, isn't it?
It is,
Because of the way it's counted on the timing screen. Yeah. Down the inside for the 28 Porsche. This is the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th. Pat Gallagher has got Eric Voss. And Corey Fergus is gone and got away from these guys.
He has, but Dylan McAvoon has closed all of a sudden. He's closed right up on those 2 cars ahead of him, the 8:56.28, battling now over 5th place. And clearly, I think Patrick Gallagher's trying to save the fuel there.
Yes.
He's turning 2-minute 24s now, which is probably a couple of seconds away from what he's capable
It's gone
of doing.
wide at turn 5, Jeremy. He's going to have to defend up the hill. That Porsche is very nimble here as well, side by side under the Corvette bridge. A Ford, a Mercedes, a Porsche. This is Continental Tire Sports Car Racing at its best. Multiple manufacturers involved. This is brilliant stuff, and through goes the Mercedes. Eric Voss, just the tiniest of mistakes from the Ford driver, and off. And that's the team car, that's the 65 car, which is further down the field. Tim Probert is in 16th position. That's the bottom of the hill at turn number 3, but he didn't hit the wall. He waits. That's really smart driving. He even waited to come back onto the track until the TCR lead battle had gone through. Chapeau, Tim Probert made the mistake but didn't get rattled and make it worse.
Number 75 car just come onto the pit lane. That was running 3rd in TCR. A couple of laps ago, all of a sudden he's fell into the clutches of Stephen Simpson, who then went past him. Now the 75 car onto pit lane out of 4th position.
There was a little bit of damage on the left front of that car that I noticed earlier on, and it's come in and taken new tyres for Pierre Kleineming to go to the end of the race. But that's the podium, I would think, gone for that car. Just the front tyres, of course, because the rear tyres on a front-wheel drive car are just there to keep the exhaust from scraping from the ground, as my friend and colleague Martin Haven always says, and as he covered World Touring cars for the longest time, I'll go with his description. Matt Plum just 1.2 seconds ahead. This is not over, 12 minutes to go. And any sense of a splutter from these cars ahead will have the guys scrambling to the fuel. Both of the TCR leaders pushing very hard indeed, to the point where Britt Casey Jr. has taken to the grass the last time around in the number 77 car coming through turn 7, but he's still right there. I think Britt Casey's got slightly the better car under him, if I'm honest, but it's so slight he can close to the back of the number 74. But these cars are very aero dependent, Jeremy. They shift a lot of air. They're very draggy, and as soon as he gets close in, the problem is that he'll start getting even more understeer on a front wheel drive car, and that is really a huge enemy to be able to get through the corners quickly.
It is.
Small margins here.
Good battle between these two. It's been ongoing here for quite a long time.
Ever?
Now.
Yes.
Yeah, forever, exactly right.
Well, yes, since we...
Number 56, by the way, has moved past number 8 on last lap. So Patrick Gallagher has really cut his pace right back, 25 last time around. To 225.
So that's 5th position for Eric Voss, ahead of Pat Gallagher. And still right there, the Porsche number 28, Dylan McAvern. Bit of dirt being thrown up through the carousel by the Tangerine Mercedes AMG. My, Eric Voss is pushing hard. 18 seconds up the road. Corey Fergus has cleared off, and now he's only 2 seconds away from a podium position. The top 4, Jeremy, under 6 seconds now. Plum, Marcelli, Hinman and Fergus. McLaren, Ford, McLaren. Wow, this is closing in. It's almost like a handicap race that's just concertinaing back together. This is where the tactics, the unseen tactics, play out. We can see where people are filling up. There's Marcelli's in. Yep. Marcelli's in. The 60 crew on the wall, and Kyle Marcelli, championship leader, will not get to the end. He last stopped at the end of lap number 18, and that must throw a huge question mark on those around him. Presumably, Shea, this is just for fuel.
They have tires up on the wall as well, should Kyle need them. They wouldn't make much sense, though, because they'll only need a very short amount of fuel to get to the end of this race. But clearly, the magic that he had for the Canadian Tire Motorsport round, where he managed to get up high on fuel, they didn't transfer that magic box to this 60 car. Under 10 minutes to go, and now we have other pit boards starting to come out. The right front tire is being changed on the 60. The fuel probe's still in, and the number 56, Eric Voss, is in the car. He's got some damage in the left rear of that car. There was a wheel nut dropped on the 60, which made for a slower tire change. Now Kyle Marcelli goes back out. The rear diffuser on this car, the diffuser on the 56 Mercedes is dragging on the ground, and they are doing fuel to a time, waiting for the signal to pull the probe out and go. And Voss is going back out. They're not even messing with the diffuser.
Well, that's dropped the championship leader well down.
Yeah, but is everybody else going to have to pit?
Well, now we've got to watch Jeff Westphal. He's the car that is the highest position, who stopped last, if you see what I mean, who fueled last. 8.5 minutes. That's a long time to be short.
It is.
A long time to be short. But that's the championship leader, of course. Eric Voss has been in and out as well, having just taken the position. So now Matt Plum, with his slippers on, headlight out on the second place car. The left-hand headlight is out for Trent Hinman, so has there been a bit of contact there, or something being thrown at the car from following closely earlier on? 8 minutes still to go. This is not over yet. We have seen cars stutter and cough and splutter and grind to a halt. It's uphill all the way from Canada Corner. You can't chance fuel here. There's no way you can coast to the line. Plum will complete his 40th lap. Through he goes, just on 8 minutes to go. The gap is going to be around about 2.5, 3 seconds, and Hinman is beginning to close in. It's
Here comes
just
Corey
3
Fergus onto pit lane as well.
3 minutes. Fergus onto pit lane. Corey Fergus onto pit lane in the McLaren number 69. He last stopped on the same lap as the leader. How much rolling of the dice is going on? Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter.
This will be fuel only, as the refueling man and the catch man, the only guys going over the wall. They had a little bit of trouble. The fuel hose got tangled up as they dove over the wall. The fuel nozzle plugged in there on 5 seconds now. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, still waiting.
That's
now.
a lot of fuel.
Now they're sent back out. So the 69 to full afterburners for the end of this race.
Well, that's a fast car, but is it fast enough to make up positions? Let me remind you of the championship positions in GS. It's the 60 of Marcelli and Nate Stacey on 165. The Plum Trinkler number 46 Mercedes on 161, along with the BMW of Tyler Cook and James Clay. That's the 82 car. And then the McEvan Pumpelly number 28 on 158, which is having the battle at the moment down at turn 5 and is pushed off the track by the number 8 Ford. They're battling Pat Gallagher and Dylan McEvan, 4th and 5th. And the leader team, Shea Adam, is starting to look interested. 6.5 minutes to go. They're not going to make it.
They're stretching out the fuel hose to make sure that every last drop goes into the end so that they can make it with less time on the pit lane.
Question, any movement down at the 39 Audi team, now up into 8th position. That was the car that stopped last for fuel, as in comes the 65 of Tim Probert.
Not even a thought from the Audi of coming in.
They might have just squeezed this, you know, and the BMW is there as well. Tyler Cook is on the same fuel strap. They don't need to win this, but they could make up a huge amount of positions in the 82 if Tyler Cook is soft pedaling and can make it to the end. It's 5.5 minutes. Who else can take through, can get to the end? Hugh Plum, I reckon, I said this earlier on, I thought the 46 was on a bit of fuel saving, and they're now in 6th position. This joint second in the championship at the moment.
Look, Joe Vardy is the strategist there. There is nobody better than Joe Vardy at calling strategy. Mike Johnson's not bad either, man, I have to say.
Yeah.
In the number 7 pit.
Yeah, Trent Hinman, Mike Johnson.
That's not to denigrate anybody else.
No, there's. I tell you what, there's far fewer cars using far fewer parts of the racetrack now. They're not pushing as hard as they were, and the lap times have gone out. Matt Plum at 2:24 last time around, as in from 5th position comes Pat Gallagher, the number 8 Ford Mustang. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, when were they last in? They were last in at the end of 18 as well. There are cars out there who are 2 or 3 laps better off. Big cloud of dust off to the right of us down at the final corner. Is there a car in that? There is! Oh my goodness! It's the 60 that's gone off on the final corner. Kyle Marcelli, the championship leader. Now, can he get this out of the gravel, or will he cause a full course yellow? He's out. My goodness! Matt Plum would have been hoping that didn't come out of there, and the 60 cars coming straight back into the pit lane must have a puncture. Shea Adam, give us an update on the cars that came in.
That was the number 8 Mustang that just left. It was fuel only for them, and the 19 BMW was in as well. They did fuel as well. I'm waiting for the 60 to appear over the brow of the hill.
Shea,
it hasn't yet.
I think it lost its left rear tyre before it spun. It's been pulled off the rim as it was going through the corner, or as it rode the curb. And the tyre is off the rim, and this is the championship lead disappearing now for the 60. Now, this might make a huge difference as to what tactics are played by the other championship contenders.
John, there's still rubber on the rim, so the tyre has gone down in pressure, but it is still
off
there.
A huge off at Canada corner for the leader. Matt Plum's gone off unabated speed, sideways into the tyre barrier, and now Hugh Plum is going to be in 3rd position, and with more fuel. Oh, it's bounced out of the tyres, and Matt Plum is going to keep it going. There's still no yellow. 3 minutes to go. Who's got the fuel? Trent Hinman leads. Trent Hinman leads. And the McLaren is moving again, but badly damaged. It's got suspension damage, and it's gone. The win's gone for McLaren. Oh my goodness. Now he's got to get that back to the pit lane. What happened there? Just didn't get the car slowed down on the bumps.
That's the problem. That's the problem on the braking system.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed, Jeremy. He didn't get the car slowed down, went to the brakes, and there was little or nothing there. Big suspension damage. He's going to try and get the car to a place of safety. 2.5 minutes to go. Hindman.
28 car is in 2nd place, John.
28 car has gone through into 2nd place. This is huge.
46
and Hugh Plum is going to benefit from his brother's problem. They're going to go through into 3rd. The 4 Mercedes is into the pits with Guy Cosmo. For a moment he was up into 4th position. The Audi now into 4th position. Jeff Westphal. And where is Tyler Cook's BMW? He's going to move up as well.
And if we say green, it'll be yellow next time round.
White next time round.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, don't worry, I knew what you were thinking. This is a sterling job by the McLaren driver to get this car back. But Matt Plum is a hero for keeping this under green flag conditions, but how is he going to get that car across the track to the pit lane, because he doesn't want to turn left? 22 seconds. Trent Hinman can ease right back here, and should ease right back. He needs to make the next lap the last lap, and he's got 22 seconds. He's going to win this. The Volt car gets to the line, he's going to win it.
He's going to do he's going to do a complete one more lap though. It's not going to be the working. It's not going to be easy.
99 into the pit lane from further down the field. Shea Adam is watching at the Volt Racing team. They're coming through the kink now. It will be one more lap this time around, Shea.
I don't dare go near their crew, guys. They're all helmeted and suited up, and they look really nervous, John.
I think it'd almost take a splash of fuel here. They've got 22 seconds. It's just too long a pit lane. They can't. But the 28 car, this is magnificent stuff for the 28 car. Remember, they're in 4th place in the championship at the moment. But it's good. And side by side for TCR with a lap to go. Oh my goodness, where do you look? This is Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, and it's absolute maddest, most bonkers, best. It is absolutely brilliant. And the 74 car, Kuno Wittner holds on somehow down at turn 5. White flag is out for Trent Hinman as he goes across the line. Now,
half throttle.
he is crawling. He's crawling. Hugh Plum is closing in on the Porsche. The Porsche is closing in on Hinman. Is there a coffer splutter? We've got the Audis rally crossing it round. What is there? Penultimate Lofton off the 99 again. Just having come out of the pit lane. And that's down at the bottom of the hill at turn number 3. This is unbelievable. Action, incident, and still major positions in TCR and potentially in GS. Trent Hinman,
59 car on pit lane with 1 lap
61 seconds in the centre section last time around. The top 4 have really slowed off. Trent Hinman's kicking it out of gear down the hills now.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
In comes the 59 car, Joey Atterbury. So Guy Cosmo's going to make up another position here. Trent Hinman had 20 seconds. He lost 2 seconds that last lap, but that's fine. He's still got 20 seconds. Stick it in 5th gear and cruise round. Unbelievable stuff. We're still waiting for the TCRs, by the way, to come to the line for the white flag. They've still got more than 4 miles to go. Oh my goodness, Hugh Plum's closed down within 6 seconds, of the Porsche. I reckon the 46 team are going to take the lead of the championship here. And the 4 car stopped. Guy Cosmo stopped on his outlap. No, he's got it going again in the number 4 TGM car. Oh my goodness, I can't take this any longer. White flag still waving, and there goes the BMW that leads ST. They're on their last lap. 73 Mini in 2nd place there. As the number 7 car heads down towards Canada Corner.
But now it's uphill all the way, isn't it?
It's uphill all the way. It's uphill all the way. And I'll tell you how slow he's going at the moment. The Aston Martin's catching him. This car can't splutter. It can't splutter. Even now, he wouldn't get up the hill if it conks out. The engine goes now. This is drama. It hardly even used the curbs. He's at the bottom of the hill. He's climbing the hill. I reckon now he could kick the clutch in. He's across the brow, and it's a win for Volt Racing. Alan Brynjolfsson started. Trent Hinman soft pedals. That's the slowest last lap he's ever done. 2 minutes and 34 seconds. McEvan must have been tight as well. He did a 2 minutes 30.
Oh yeah.
And Hugh Plum a 2:29. The 46 car will leave here in the championship lead. Here comes the 28. They did, as I say, a 2:30 last time around. They've made it to the line. The gap was 23 seconds. They must have been close. And here's Hugh Plum. Hugh Plum was pushing on. 4 seconds at the line, and Westphal was right there. The Audi did have the fuel, but they just didn't have the right amount of laps to catch them up. Westphal down to just 3 seconds away from a podium position. And what of TCR? down through the kink now and towards Canada corner. I think, dare I say, that Kuno Wittmer's done enough. He's got maybe 10 cars lengths on second place. These cars have no fuel issues. Extraordinary finish to an unbelievable race. Road America, our longest track of the year, once again provides the strategic challenge on the pit wall. You can't afford to be short on fuel here. And in TCR, 12th position overall and on the lead lap, albeit after a lengthy yellow. Kuno Wittmer comes through and order is restored as Compass Racing go back to winning ways, having been beaten for the first time this season in TCR last time out. And it's first and second for the TCR team. Winners last time out, the 54 crew. Stephen Simpson will come through in third, and a very slow BMW comes across the line, and that is the win for Bimmer World in ST. With the Mini closing right in at the end, were they tight on fuel as well? A really slow last lap, and that was down to 7 seconds. Let's go to Shea Adam and to Trent Hinman's team. Brynjolfsson started, Hinman finished, and Mike Johnson has engineered a win for the number 7 car. Shea?
How close was that on fuel?
We were dropping down to about 2 liters a lap the last few laps, and normally we run 3.5, so that tells you what we did. Right when we went back to green, we had to drop from 3.5 to 3.2. We just went that way. You know, Trent was getting a little worried. He's like, McLaren's passing me, the Ford's passing me. I'm like, well, if they beat us, they beat us, but we're not going to run out of fuel. And once they started coming in, we could back it way up because we were a good lap short with about 2 to go. And then we just basically shut it all the way down. And obviously Trent did all the work. I mean, he was watching those numbers and we're giving him the guidance, but he knew exactly what to do. And, you know, we work all the time on fuel mileage and fuel economy. And it really goes to do a big credit to the guys here. I mean, they were working last night till pretty late just to get every last drop, every last liter or 1/10 of a liter, because we had a change in the BOP giving us another liter for this race. And, you know, you got to redo everything because you got to get every drop that you can get out. And that's, you know, it was all that work that they did that got us here today.
Yeah, ultimately that paid off. Congrats and enjoy Volt Racing's first win. Won't be their last.
Oh, I hope not for sure.
I am absolutely exhausted, and I only stood and watched it. No idea what the emotional damage is to the guys who were racing it or engineering it. Fastest lap for the number 60, the rebuilt former championship leaders, but it's not their day today. They'll finish in 13th position. And Jeremy Shaw, what a turnaround, what a couple of weeks for Ted Giovannis Motorsport. Came in third here. Was that enough to give them the championship lead?
It was, by 1 point over Dylan McIvern and Spencer Pumpelly. Dylan McIvern, of course, the defending series champion, let's not forget. We haven't mentioned that during the day, but that RS1 team, they are still right in contention here. And Dylan just did a fantastic job to bring that car home, as did all those guys who were stretching their fuel at the front there. That was a tremendously exciting race.
They're 17 points away from the lead when they came in this weekend. In fourth, they'll go away in second, 1 point off the lead, held by Hugh Plum and Owen Trinkler for TGM. Who's next up? Is it the BMW? It should be the BMW,
yeah,
shouldn't it?
In third place, a tied now.
Oh.
Nate Stacey and Carl Marcelli and James Clay and Tyler
No
Cook.
way.
Both on 183. So 191 for Plum and Trinkler, 190, I reckon, for McIvern and Pumpelly, 183 for the other two, Nate Stacey, Carl Marcelli, James Clay, Tyler Cook.
Back to winning ways for Compass in TCR. Kuno Wittmer anchoring the 74 car ahead of Britt Casey Jr. Now, Britt Casey Jr. was leading by a point with Tom Long when they came in here, and they were leading from Salas and Wittmer in second place. So that's going to change around.
It is. It'll now be 225 points for Rodrigo Salas and Kuno Wittmer, 223 for Britt Casey Jr. and Tom Long.
In ST, it was Nick Galante, and this is an opening up of the lead for them because they won this weekend for the Jones and Galante BMW.
They did, so they will stretch their lead, and it was the number 7, which car finished
Mark
in second
Pombo,
place?
who was second.
Yeah, number 73, but it was Matt Pombo that finished in second place So that'll extend the lead now by another 3. So it'll be 11-point lead now for Nick Galante and Devin Jones over Matt Pombo and Mike Lamara.
And Mark Pombo then drops down to 3rd position. Does he? Yes, he will, because he was only 3 points ahead of the Lamara car. Well, what a day of motor racing. I'll wait for Shea to see if we can grab some of the other class leaders there. We'll try and get Kuno Whitmer as he gets out of the Audi. Shea, are you down there?
I am just going to check in with Justin, make sure he's... You already talked to Kuno? All right, perfect. Kuno Whitmer, another race win. Most importantly, you're in the championship fight. Now you got that lead. Congratulations. And Road America, getting a win here, how much does that mean?
This place is, there's one corner called Canada Corner, so I guess this is my second home here. No, really proud. I'm proud of the whole team. They did the job. Rodrigo did a really good job at the beginning. He held the car in one piece, handed it over perfectly. It was still nice and cool in the car, and everything held up. The Audi and Compass did their job, and honestly, hats off to Britt, who really gave me pressure, and honestly, he's a good kid, good driver.
Raced you clean and fair.
Yeah, super clean and fair, just like I like it.
Congrats, and we'll see you in VAR.
Thank you.
We'll try and grab the ST leaders before our television international feed disappears. Shea Adam is down there. The Bimmer World guys are being interviewed for the network show, and it'd be nice to hear from the guys down there. Let's see if we can hurry those guys up, because we're live and they aren't. They could. Got Nick Galante, pole position to the win, but it wasn't as easy as that looked, Shea.
No, it definitely wasn't. And Nick Galante, we had you crying a little bit before the race began, got you all emotional. You said it was going to be a really good fight for Devin Jones at the end of that race, and Devin, it was. Wasn't it? You had fun on the BMW?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun battling the Mini there. It was close there. He was a little bit faster than me in some areas of the track, but I knew kind of where I was stronger, and I was able to set up a pass. And it worked. It was great. Then the car kind of really started to come to us, and we were able to manage traffic a little bit better and get away. But we had to worry towards the end. We were really close on fuel. I had to really back down the pace, and I was nervous all the way to the end. I didn't get to enjoy those last few laps just because I was saving fuel so much. But I have to thank Veristor Logistics. Nick did an awesome job. This whole team has just been meshing really well this year, and it's just been awesome.
Congrats, you guys.
Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter, wrapping up with all 3 winners. Scary accidents, plenty of incidents, and a brilliant strategic run to take the win for Alan Brynjolfsson and for Trent Hindman. Happy to report that the 2 drivers involved in that big incident seemingly have walked away without any issues. For Jeremy Shaw and Shea Adam, I'm John Hindhaugh. That was the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge at Road America.